Welcome, everyone, to episode 78 of the Looks Like a Movie podcast. My name is Kevin. I'm here with Doug and Owen, and a returning guest and fellow M. Night Shyamalan lover, Sydney, is back. And today we are talking about M. Night Shyamalan's newest movie, Trap. But first, as always, we could talk about what we watched this past week. Do you want to get us started, Sydney?
Oh, sure.
It's always a
I was
surprise every
That's
week. I don't think anybody is ready for who I'm going
on
to
my
play.
podcast, I always go last, so
I
I'm,
see.
like, waiting for everyone else, but, yeah, I was just telling you guys, I haven't watched a lot in the last, week, I guess, besides new stuff, because I was just in LA for a month, but I saw Trap. I saw Trap twice. What else has been coming out that's, new? Deadpool. I saw Deadpool and Wolverine, of course. I've been watching all the Alien movies. I just watched the first part of Prometheus, which I'm excited to revisit because I remember thinking it was fine the first time when I watched it years ago and I was a lot younger. And I know people love it. So, but otherwise, yeah, not a lot. House of the Dragon. I don't know if you guys watch House of the
I
Dragon.
do. I don't.
Okay,
I
nice.
definitely do
that's
not.
Kevin. That's all good.
But as of recording this, we have the finale tomorrow,
Yes,
so that's very exciting.
very
Or-
exciting.
Are you liking it? I feel like lots of people. Anytime I open Twitter, I feel like it's just people talking about how shitty it is, and they're all like people who read the books, I guess, and just complain. I'm enjoying it, but
Yeah, I haven't been super clued into the discourse about it because I've always been one or two episodes behind for this season. I don't think I like it as much as the first season. I kind of relate to the people who are saying it's hard to have someone to root for,
it's a
I
little bit more
guess.
exciting.
Yeah.
I think the excitement with the first season was that it was like good Game of Thrones again, and now we're like used to it, and it's just whatever. But
I'm
I
a
don't know. I still think it's fun. I feel like a lot of the complaints I see are really dumb.
well, yeah, that's the internet, I guess.
Yeah,
I miss Viserys, but it's not bad. It's not bad.
yeah, that's solid. Owen, you want to talk about what you watched?
Yeah, I did a lot of rewatching this week, mainly some M Night stuff to kind of do trap prep, but I did see some new stuff that I haven't seen before. I watched James Benning's 13 Lakes for the first time because I finished the 10 Skies book, and they talk about 13 Lakes in that for a bit. So I wanted to watch that one, and then I watched The Wind, which is probably the best thing I've watched recently. It's an old silent film with Lillian Gish in the lead, and it's very interesting because it's in the 20s, but there was an interesting review. I think it's the first review kind of on Letterboxd is basically like westerns were kind of revisionist from the jump, and it's very interesting kind of take on the role of the woman in that period of time rather than the guy running off on the horse, and then what is the people left behind, what's going on there, which it's really interesting, so I recommend that one a lot. And then yeah, I don't know, I just rewatching The Matrix and stuff, um and continuing my Robert Bresson stuff, but nothing too crazy this week.
I just say, in response to the 13 Lakes thing, I said that thing after I watched 10 Skies about how I was going to write the really annoying letterboxed review, being
Mm-hmm.
like, yep, there's 10 of them. And
Yeah,
then I looked at 13 Lakes after you
the
logged
first
it,
the
and one of
first
the top
reviews.
reviews is there were 13 of them. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
damn, now I'm actually happy I didn't make the joke. But
And they didn't
Doug,
even rate it or like it,
no, I
or
don't,
it's a
yeah, I'm not really, it's just,
sketchy log. They have
I just
140
watched it.
logs
I
on their
counted.
account. This is
Well, oh, and it's like an experimental film. It's like non-narrative. So like, how are
oh,
you
you
supposed
can't
to
rate it. You
rate?
can't.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can't
my
rate. You can't
my
rate
fault.
stuff like that.
Can't even like it.
No, you can't even like it. Well, because what's there to like? There's not a story,
Yeah,
right? So like,
Right.
what are you gonna enjoy? What's there to enjoy,
yeah, that's true.
Doug, what did you watch this week?
bro? I kind of locked in this last
No?
week. I wa-
That's
I
first time.
So okay, all right, calm down. But I so this filmmaker um s- mm, uh
Oh, butcher the name, please do it.
fuck.
I want to hear it so bad.
You gotta prepare these things.
Okay.
You literally tweeted about him 400 times this week. You didn't spend 1 minute looking up the pronunciation.
I just watched your episode where you talked about looking up pronunciation.
Doug is awful at him. Famously, never pronounces a name right. Just sound it out. You could actually, if you want, you could start talking about them, and I'll look up the pronunciation while I'm muted, and I could.
So
Get
it's
Just talk about the movies.
Soi Chiang.
yeah, that sounds
It's
pretty
that
good,
can't be
actually.
right, but it's like it's like he's a Hong Kong filmmaker, notably was like the protege to Johnny To, who is like one of like the big three filmmakers to come out of Hong Kong and come out of Hong Kong. I mean, stay in Hong Kong, but yeah, I mean, this guy is so crazy. Every movie is like better than the last one I watched, and I watched 7 of his movies this week, and I don't know, it's so awesome. So that's what I did this week, and I also watched X-Men First Class again. That movie's kind of bad, bro. Also, do you know that? Do you know
I
who fucking
like First
directed?
Class.
Do you know who directed First Class, bro?
Matthew Vaughn.
Matthew Vaughn. I feel like I didn't know that, or if I did know that, I forgot, because that's crazy. There's this thing that he does in First Class where the camera kind of like swoops around a character. Uh, where it's like the camera and it like swoops around them, and he does that literally 50 times whenever somebody's talking or like looking at something or thinking. And every time he does it, I'm like, man, there he goes again with that same fucking idea. But yeah, so I watched First Class again. I don't know. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I did.
to get back to you, I looked it up. I think Chiang is actually right. I think you might be onto something. That's at least what Google is providing me with.
Well,
So you did a
I don't
good
have to learn Cantonese anymore, so I think
job.
I've got it figured out.
Is that all for you? Can I
Yeah,
jump in?
Kevin, what did you watch this week,
What did
Mr.
I
Meeks?
watch? I watched Revenge of the Fallen with my friends because we did the Transformers audio commentary, and now I was
Oh.
just like, we could watch that, and maybe I'll watch the other 3. I don't know. Not sure if I have to. I like
Which
all
one's
those.
Revenge of the Fallen?
It's the second one.
The
It's the
second one.
one,
Okay.
yeah. It's the one with the big pyramid desert thing
Oh,
goes
yep.
on for
Yep. Yep.
really
Yep.
long. Yeah,
Mhm.
you're there for a
I
while.
know the one.
I rewatched Cure, still the best movie ever. I watched Out of Sight, the Soderbergh movie, and
Hmm.
I need
I
to
just
watch
kind of
that
love
one.
George Clooney.
He's the best.
Yeah, every time I see George Clooney in a movie, I'm just like, man, I kind of just want to watch every movie he's ever been in. He's so charming. He's so awesome. I watched Aliens as well. I have not seen any Alien movie except for the first one, so now I am watching them all pre
Yeah, you're
our
growing up,
Alien pod.
becoming a
Oh.
man.
Sure, you could say that. I think I'm more of an Alien than Aliens person. But I don't want to talk about the movie at all because we're gonna do a whole podcast on it. So that's all I'll say for
Are
now.
you guys like you're doing the entire series?
Yeah, we're gonna do everything, so that's gonna
before
take a
Romulus.
while.
You're
Yeah.
gonna watch the AVP movies too, right, Kevin?
I wasn't planning on it, but fun fact, those are actually the only other ones I've seen because I watched them as a kid.
Oh, that makes
Oh.
sense. I think that the first Alien movie I ever saw was
Oh.
the first AVP too.
The first one's good. I
those are the
haven't
ones
seen
I always
the
Fun
second
movie.
one. People say the second one's
really
like
bad.
yeah, that's what they said. That's what they
Those guys, no, like all respect to those. I forget their name, but those
because
that
it's
duo
not
that
it's
directs the
not
second one.
Paul. Yeah.
No, they're like not directors. They
all,
don't. That's
all
like
respect, and then you just say they suck.
Yeah,
at
they
direction.
need a
no,
new
they like
job.
do. No, they do other stuff. They're visual effects artists. Like they're like lead VFX artists on like a bunch of big like on the first Avatar movie, like a bunch of big movies. They're like not directors.
Yeah, like they
though.
did Avengers and The Conjuring
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and
Oh.
300.
Avatar.
Yeah,
Shark Boy and
they're
Lava Girl. Yeah,
really notable
do you
visual
think
effects.
really
guys.
important.
There you go.
We watch
Yeah.
the Alien vs Predators movie for the podcast, or is that? Can I skip it?
Kevin,
What do you mean?
we're doing all of them. You actually have, you have to watch all the Predator movies too for the context.
Then I rewatched Pulp Fiction. Good movie.
Why?
Don't
Did you
Yeah,
rewatch Pulp
what the
Fiction
fuck?
for that podcast or
for what?
the Ringer podcast?
Yes, so they did the rewatchables for Pulp Fiction, and I drive around a lot and I listen to podcasts in my car. So I was listening to their podcast, and on their podcast they play like clips from the movie. And
So you
so
just
when I would
logged it
hear the
anyway?
Pulp, when I hear no, I heard like the clips and I was like, damn, I haven't seen this since I was like 17, and I was like, this seems pretty fun. Maybe I'll rewatch it. And I kind of just feel the same way about it. I wish I liked it more, but I was like, yeah, it's a good movie. I don't
Aw.
know. I don't.
It's so
The,
good.
the podcast made me think I was like gonna get something new out of it this time around, and I was like, no, I probably could have just kept going without rewatching it. It's fine. It's still the same movie when I was 18. And then yesterday I watched Boyfriends and Girlfriends, which is a Romare movie that's really good. It made me smile. The ending's really silly. That's a fun time. And that's it. And we can talk about Trap, new M. Night Shyamalan movie, which we all saw and really liked. Where do we start?
Spoilers. We all really like it.
Yeah, spoilers.
Yeah.
Lot to talk about. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, here's where Kevin,
Yes,
you saw it at the world premiere.
I did. Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know if we wanted to talk about that because I
We
already
talked about this
mentioned it
last
last
week.
week.
I don't want to
but
hear
I don't
about it.
wanna, like,
Yeah.
I'm too jealous.
go on about it. And Doug keeps making. Anytime I bring it up, Doug's just like, "Oh, we get it. You went there," and I'm like, "Okay, well, sorry."
Doug makes him bring it
Should've
up.
Yeah. No. Yeah, it was awesome. I don't know if there's like anything I didn't mention last week. I feel like I went into a lot of detail about it last week, but
Yeah.
it was a cool thing. And also like
Well, this
I
makes
was
I guess Doug's the only person who saw it once.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna bring this up. I'm gonna see it
Yeah.
again tonight, but I have only seen
that's
it
smart.
once
Yeah.
so far of recording.
That
Unfortunately.
I mean, that's the big thing. With every M Night movie, it's like it just keeps getting better every time you watch it. Especially with something like this, where there's just so much going on, and there's like so much that he's working with. This is like
Yeah,
one of
especially
his
when you watch it 3 times in a row without leaving the
yeah
theater.
yeah
Huh?
you're just your
Yeah, I
mind
can't
kind
believe
of
you did 3 watches.
yeah it's a lot, but actually the movie's it goes by fast. It's a short movie. It's not that bad. It
Mhm.
wasn't that bad. It wasn't like it's like
Yeah.
it's like a little less than one. It's like 1.5 Horizons. Not even. Not even.
It's just like watching
It's
the
half
2
a
new
Horizon,
Rebel Moon
pretty much.
movies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Was it what were you getting by the third watch of the night that you didn't get the first 2 times?
I mean, the third watch wasn't the most like the second watch was a big one. I got
Mhm.
more out of that one, and the third watch was like it's just for fun, mostly because it's like how to just like keep getting new information in that short amount of
Yeah.
span. But I definitely there was just like little things, in terms of just like knowing how the entire plot unravels and watching it from the start, and just kind of if you just remove kind of narrative context and just take in the film without like being like in any sense of trying to follow the plot, there's the level of the film that you're just going to understand more, from removing
Yeah.
that element from the film.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried that I was gonna rewatch it in like a normal theater without all the
Yeah,
excitement, and
without
I was
M Night like sitting behind you.
yeah, and I was gonna. Well, the best person sitting near me was the
Mosquito Dorito.
no, but he was.
Oh god.
Um, I think did we talk about that last week?
I don't
He
think
was
I
like
don't.
he was
I
like
don't.
getting canceled on TikTok the night of the premiere. So like I don't know if he was checking his phone or not. Anyway, that's not important. The kid who plays the daughter's like brother, like the little
Oh,
boy,
Aw.
he was
he's
in the crowd sitting in
yeah.
like the row in front of me wearing like this cute little suit, and M Night like called him onto stage and he got so excited he like ran out of the crowd and ran up onto it was so cute.
Aw.
And then when his scene came up, like when he showed up on screen, he was like tapping his mom on the shoulder. It was really adorable. That was the coolest person sitting near me. He was awesome. But yeah, I don't know. I wrote down like 2 things for where we can start. I was just gonna ask you guys. I guess for Doug, it's probably a little bit harder since you only watched it once. But like where it kind of stacks up in the M Night filmography for you guys. Probably too early to make a decision, but
It might be his best movie. I don't know. I've only seen it once, but that's where I'm at with it. A little bit. I was telling me and Owen have talked about this movie together for like 15 hours.
yeah,
We
I
had like
heard
no,
you
like
guys
zero
stayed up till
restraint.
9 in the morning, which was just
Not
not good
What?
Yeah, you don't have to
podcasting
say that
purposes.
on. That's crazy. Just like put out there publicly.
That's not like
It's-
entirely accurate. Doug was
Um,
not alive.
Well, but yeah, No, well, yeah, me and Owen exercised zero restraint, um,
Yeah.
which we normally are a little better with new movies, but it was too exciting.
Hmm.
And I told him that I think that this is definitely the best looking M Night movie to me. I love
Really?
the way this movie looks so much. I love like the references to like the kind of explicit references to horror imagery, like there's the split diopter, there's the shot with him holding the knife by his side, there's like stuff like that, and then just some others. Well, like, I mean, I don't know. There's just so much. It looks so crazy. It looks so crazy, and the more I think about it, the more the images kind of radiate. It's so yeah. In terms of, I love old, and the thing I always bring up with old is how you cannot tell me that M Night isn't a genius because of how the film is blocked and executed visually. I feel that like even more so with Trap, where I'm like, I think that even somebody that doesn't know anything about film or is not interested in anything about film can watch Trap and understand like, oh, this looks interesting. This looks so interesting and it looks exciting and there's a lot of like different things going on that look nice on like the most basic level. So that's like yeah. So it might be his best movie. I also think it's, very thematically rich, but
Yeah. I I kind of knew I kind of knew immediately, but like the one that really stood out was when like really early into the movie they're like entering like the concert, and then it shows like the upper level seats with all the different colors, and I was like, oh, this fucking rocks. I was like,
Mm.
that's so fucking cool. And I was just like locked in immediately. No, I agree. I it's definitely it's definitely up there. I think it's like a mix of that and also just like I don't know that I'm ever gonna watch one of his movies that's as fun as this one. Like that sounds so dumb and basic, but it's like I could probably watch this movie like 100 times this year if I had to. Like I could just watch it over and over again. It's like
Yeah.
it's so funny and it's so easy. Like I mean, Owen watched it 3 times in
Well,
one
that was
day, and
that
it's
was the
still
thing where it
like
was like it was so easy to watch, but like I was thinking about like even like Knock at the Cabin, it's just such a downer, where it's like watching
right.
that back to back to back is like it would be a little more, even though that movie's incredible, but this movie's just kind of so fun, even though it's dealing with a lot of like heavy themes and stuff. It is just kind of the way that it's played out is kind of so fun, that it is very rewatchable.
Yeah, I think it's his funniest movie, like by far. I don't know. I saw people saying that like it can't possibly be funnier than Old, but like that's what they were saying, I guess, before it came out. But like right after I watched it, I was just like, that's like one of the funniest movies I've seen. Like I
I
was
think
laughing
I
the whole time.
agree. Yeah, that's why I don't get like so many of the complaints I'm seeing. I'm like, I feel like they don't get that it's like supposed to be funny. Like all these
Yeah,
things that come across as like
Yeah.
cringe or whatever. M Night is like having a blast. Like he's not taking the movie as
yeah,
seriously as some of these
Yeah.
people are. And yeah, I agree with what Owen said before. Like I wasn't planning on seeing this twice the day it came out, but I literally left the theater and immediately bought another ticket because that's so true of M Night movies. Like I feel like you just can't only watch them once. And I guess if you're not as into him, maybe you could make the argument that like I shouldn't have to watch it multiple times, but they're still good on the first watch.
Yeah. No.
It's just that like every single watch is so rewarding. Like I've seen Unbreakable 20 times and I still watch it and I get so much from it that I like hadn't
Mhm.
seen before, and it feels like I'm watching it like for the first time. And so I think, yeah, there's like, and they're always so much different than you expect them to be. So you kind of have to like you said, Owen, like see what's actually happening and then go back and like experience it for what it actually is. Cause it's not like the bottle thriller that the trailer made it
Yeah.
yeah.
seem like. So
That's
what did
why
you,
that's why I
yeah.
knew right away. I was like, people are gonna have a like bad reaction to this because as soon as I watched the movie and I was like, this is not like creepy thriller
Hmm.
like what they're expecting. Like there's no like gore, like you're not really watching anything. I was like, oh, people are gonna
Yeah.
complain
Well, yeah,
immediately.
that's what I've seen. Like, oh, it totally like, gets bad after the location change or whatever. So what did you guys think of that? Because I definitely was caught off guard. I was like, oh.
It was like my
Yeah.
favorite part of the movie. I
I
was like,
I
I liked the movie
that
even more once we left
that
the
section's
concert.
really strong, but I was like, that's like the big thing because so much of the entire trailer is all in the concert, right? It's like
Mhm.
that's like the first like setup of the movie. It's like that's just the trailer. There's the there's some parts from the later, but they're like in that like crazy like red montage that's like really awesome in the trailer. So we don't really get any indication that they're gonna leave, and the movie doesn't end in the concert. So as the kind of film is progressing, for the first time, was really interested to see them go that route. But also, I think most importantly, I was interested to see how much they use Salika as an actress. And then once she's kind of
Mm.
introduced as like this like main player, and they go to the house, like as it keeps unraveling, that whole section's really interesting. And on a rewatch, once we got to that point, that's like when like I kind of like locked in, and like that's like I think that's for me like the most fun section of the movie, because it's like it just like the kind of tension is at its highest. Yeah, that I don't know. I think I've seen people though. I've seen people be like, "Oh, it just kind of loses steam." And like you guys
Yeah.
said, the thriller aspect. I saw like one tweet this
It's an
morning.
unserious
It's
criticism.
really unserious. But I saw one tweet this morning was like, so I was ever like, Trap is totally not a thriller. Everyone in my theater was like dying laughing. This movie sucked. But it was like, it was very weird. But there's like a lot of
Yeah.
people are like, that's how they kind of view things, and it's in this very like warped thing.
It's
I don't know.
weird
It's
though, because
bizarre.
like the average person like only knows him for having a twist. So like immediately
Yeah.
they're like going into the movie being like, this is going to like something's going to happen that's going to change
Mhm.
like the movie. But then when it's just a different movie than they expected, their brains can't just be like,
Yeah.
oh, this
Which
is
is
different. It's like
bizarre,
that's like you went into the movie wanting something to happen. So then when it's a
right?
different movie, why are you like questioning it
Yeah.
and just being like, oh well, this sucks?
I
It's
also I
like
wanted to bring that up because he's still, that is like the thing, and people like kind of tie the twist to him, and I guess there is like technically a twist in this movie. But like
yeah,
for me, it's like I'm never like, oh, the new M Night movie is coming out. Like I can't wait to see what the twist. Like I don't care about the twist at all.
yeah,
Like that's never like a thought in my mind. Is like, oh, the twist. Like I'm aware of the Sixth Sense, and I'm aware that there could be a
There's no
twist,
way
but that's not
it's
like
2024 and we're talking about
like
M Night like this. You know
exactly
what I
like
Well, I
mean?
know
Like
that's what, like, the trailer came out and everyone was like, "Oh, what do you think the twist is?" I'm
it's
like, "I don't know if there is one, bro.
yeah, it's like
That might
he
just be the
that's
movie."
it doesn't like it's not like I don't know. It makes him into this like very gimmicky idea where it's like he makes bad movie with twist and bad dialogue, and like that's who he
yeah,
is. And like we said, like about the rewardingness of the rewatches, it's like he's so he's such a talented writer that there's just so much in the dialogue that you can pick up on second watches, where it's like if he were a bad writer, that wouldn't be the case, right? You
yeah,
wouldn't get
Mhm.
new things out of his dialogue on the 15th watch or something. Like it's just we
yeah.
talked about it on the old commentary, but there's just so much packed into like every minute of his movies that I don't know, it's kind of ridiculous. The still, because it says like a what 50% on Rotten Tomatoes or some bullshit.
It's
Like
like
Mhm.
below
40,
it now
it's
40
anyways.
like
Yeah,
percent.
it's
That's
dipping into
it's
the
insane.
ridiculous
40s.
because I don't think this is his best movie. But I do think this is one of his better movies, and I think this movie's really good. But I don't know. It's kind of ridiculous. Even
Yeah.
because I think some of you guys tweeted about it, but like the dialogue in this movie isn't like it's not as crazy as
Yeah.
old or like The Happening, or it's
It's,
more
like, mostly normal. I mean, like,
Yeah.
the kid just talks like a kid.
yeah,
Like,
which
it's, like, I don't like, so much of it is
people don't
normal.
like
I don't know.
kids.
And
I
he
don't
It's
know.
talks
just
like a dad.
yeah,
Who's
it's
also
just,
a
like,
serial
weird
killer.
that
Like he's gonna
I
be.
know.
he's, like, the only person who exists where, like, the conversation has been the same for, like, 20 years, and they just kind of repeat the same thing about him over and over and over again. Like, it's, like, I don't know
Yeah.
that anybody else is just, like, making a movie where, like, the discourse after every new movie is the same exact conversation that we had during the last movie for, like, multiple decades now. And it's just, like, I don't know. It's, like, one of the things from the premiere that like I noticed was like him getting on stage and being like the first thing he said, not the first thing, but like when the movie was about to start, he was like, I hope you guys have a good laugh. Like I had so much fun writing
Aw.
this movie. And it's like it's like he know you know what I mean? It's like he's saying it. Like he knows that he's like doing it. And then it's like annoying that people talk about the dialogue because it's like
Yeah.
I, I don't know how you could just keep repeating the same thing for 20 years now and not realize that like maybe there's something to this. I
No,
don't
I
know.
know. There was someone like responded to a lot of the discourse about that, and they used the word infantilizing, and I thought that was kind of like the perfect way to describe like all of the hate towards M Night and how people talk about him. Like the guy knows what he's doing, and it's all an artistic choice. And if you don't like it, that's one thing. But thinking that he doesn't know what he's doing is, I mean,
Yeah.
we could get into like why people hate M. Night and all of the biases
Right.
that are involved there.
But it's crazy to like watch a movie, laugh through the whole thing, and then be like, "Yeah, that shit sucked." Like 1 star. It's like you
Like,
had a great time. Like you were laughing the whole time. Like it's like
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Well,
Like
like
yeah,
that's like the average person is they show up to the theater, they watch it, they're like, "Yeah, that movie was so fun, but like it sucked." And it's like,
well,
what do
yeah.
you mean?
They go in like expecting to feel these ways about it, and people get so preoccupied with like whether the dialogue sounds organic that yeah, Owen, like they're not listening to what it is actually saying.
Yeah.
And on the second watch, that was where I was like going back to the beginning where he's telling his daughter when like the scalper offers them tickets, he's like, don't let anyone fool you, and all these lines about like pretending and like surveillance. And it's like, wow, like
Right.
seriously, every line of dialogue is contributing to the themes. And it sucks that people just kind of don't want to take the time to try and
Yeah.
give it that credit, you know?
So much of the conversation around M Night is so bad faith, and so like it comes from this understanding. The starting point is that M Night is a bad filmmaker, right? And that's the starting point that so many people are engaging with the film, and it's like, okay, so it's obviously bad, but this one's bad for these reasons. Instead of maybe giving him the benefit of the doubt a little bit, if you're not already a fan of him, and just engaging with what the themes are and like what the movie is trying to say. You know, like you're saying, it's like people are so preoccupied with their preconceived notions of M. Night being unable, like literally so like fucking brain dead and not being able to understand how people speak, that they
Yeah.
can't, that they're not even engaging with what the characters are actually saying, like you're saying. Yeah.
But can I ask you guys? Because like so much of like that expectation versus reality thing is them being like, oh, like this is just like a comedy or whatever. But it's like, did you guys not think the movie was also thrilling? Like I was also still
Oh, I
like
did.
nervous about what was going to happen and how he was going to get out. Like it's like I don't. It's weird that they're complaining about that because I'm like, it also still does what you want it to. I feel like at least like I haven't even seen any of those people complaining be like, yeah, it's not still a thrill. Like it is.
Yeah, I have seen a lot of people say like, "Oh, this is not a thriller at all." And I think it is another expectation. Like it's like why can people not watch all these M. Night movies and just come to terms with the filmmaker he actually is? Like I think people went into this thinking they were going to watch like Tenet. Like he doesn't
Right.
have this like pulsing score and like people running around. Like M. Night's not an action filmmaker really. Like he makes like dramas and these kind of like horror thrillers. Like the way he plays with genre is so interesting. But it is, I think his movies are really like undefinable in that way. And I think it kind of makes people uncomfortable. And they're like, oh, this isn't what I'm used to seeing when I go watch a thriller. So he must have done something wrong, you know?
Yeah, well, I think an interesting comparison, even in his own filmography, would be something like Split, which is one of his more recent movies that has like a little like people like that movie. People are like, oh,
Highest Rotten Tomato score
yeah,
out of all of his
people
films.
Really?
people who are
Yes.
like, oh,
Mhm.
M Night hasn't made a good movie since Unbreakable, like Split. Like that was like the one he like randomly woke up one day and like remembered how to make movies. And a lot of that has, I think, when I'm thinking about the comparisons here, that movie is like darker and like creepier than say this movie. And I'm thinking like when people say this is not a thriller, it's like because it's a light movie in terms of like there's moments, right, but it's like it's about him and his dad, his daughter. It's like, you know, it's funny. It's not like I'm not worried that someone's gonna kill the daughter at all. Like I'm not worried about that. Like the
Mhm.
worrying is like, oh, he's gonna get caught, but that's not like, oh, I'm trapped and someone's gonna kill me. Like that in Split, it's like, oh, you have Anya Taylor Joy and like this crazy guy might kill her. Like that's like it's scarier, and it also I thought maybe this movie would be higher received after watching it because people like good performances. People when people see a good performance, they kind of don't really worry. Like people go to movies and like, oh, I like that actor. They were good acting in this. That like in like stupid plot reasons or whatever. That's like what most people care about for movies. So I was like, oh, like the performance is really good. Maybe people will like this more. Um, but I don't know. I think that now removed from it, I think the kind of I guess that thriller element that really like, oh, I'm scared is what kind of helps something like Split rather than this. Where it's like this is it's lighter. It is lighter. There is dark moments towards the end, but it is like a generally light like comedy thriller rather than something, more thrilling and horror.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I guess is the same thing for The Sixth Sense, and that's like the one that before
Yeah, The
Split or
Sixth Sense is
whatever existed.
scary,
Yeah,
but
Yeah.
that's
it's shitty that they approach it from that angle, but I get
yeah,
what
but
you're saying.
I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking about it from that standpoint, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it is like the most common complaint I'm seeing, that like, oh, it was so fun for a while, and then they leave the concert and it just totally falls off a cliff or whatever. But it is like, that's kind of where all of the interesting like thematic threads actually start to be like
Mhm.
explored. And I think it was like my second watch where I was like, whoa, that was when I started to see all the similarities to Split. Like how now Lady Raven is playing this character who, like, earlier at the concert, she was like, my dad left me and I had so much anger, but I like released it and I released him or whatever. So she's kind of, doing the right thing. And he is referring to himself as this like monster similar to the Beast in Split. Even for a minute, it's kind of like this supernatural thing, as he's getting, Josh Hartnett is so like wide when he's like standing up and they're all tasing him. I was like, he looks like fucking like Frankenstein or something. It was awesome.
Did not realize he was such a big guy.
He like
large.
he like jumps at one of those guys and like fucking like gouges his
yeah.
And I was like, during that section, I was like, this is literally like, he could like fit in that like glass like M. Night Rogues gallery. Like it's so like intense and like over the top that he feels like this like supernatural, and it's so heightened in the way that M. Night does those things. It's very that's whole. I love that whole sequence with Allison Pym, and he's, they eat the pie, and the way that the whole cabinets are framed, and that's really well done sequence. And I think a lot of people say that the movie kind of falls off there, and I think if that sequence was done poorly, the movie would kind of falter. But I think that section is so strong that it doesn't. I think it's a really, even the whole stuff with the bike, and that whole section is really strong. So I don't know, I don't understand the critics of that.
Yeah, I think I'm at a 4 right now. I think I'm gonna see it again, and I think I might bump it up to a 4.5, because the more I think about it, the more I'm like, wow, this is so interesting. Like, M. Night has said in interviews, like, he really thought, like, he thinks like the myth making of serial killers and kind of that supernatural aspect is really interesting. And I can't, like, it's like the most M. Night thing ever that he took a literal psychopath and serial killer, like the most inhumane we can possibly be, and tried to find the humanity in him as a parent. That's like the most M. Night that it gets. And it's so powerful. Like, I think I'm surprised I haven't seen more people saying, like, kind of critiquing, like, it kind of just doesn't work to take a serial killer and like try and do this. But I think that's kind of what is allowed to you, like, through filmmaking and through the medium, that he can kind of like experiment with that kind of psychology, I guess.
Yeah. That's what I think. I think that's so interesting, is it feels like while watching the movie that he's taking this Josh Hartnett character, who is a serial killer, who is just like, as we understand, like an objectively terrible person, right? But introducing it or approaching him with so much sympathy and understanding, even throughout him, being totally open book, understanding him completely, as like, no, this is like, he is like irredeemable almost. And still at the very end, there's like the daughter hugging him, and there's still the humanity all the way through. It's like, it's an interesting way to approach I mean, like, so much about society, but really specifically kind of our infantilization of serial killers and this true crime society that we built up.
I just kind of like put like a scene together in my brain while you guys were talking, and there's a sequence with Jamie, the vendor, right? And he's grabbing up the boxes, and he getting the shirt, and he's like, I've been following you for 12 kills, like and he shows him the phone, and I was like,
the gore video, he shows him a gore video,
so crazy. But I was putting together the kind of cult aspect of the Taylor Swift Lady Raven thing, and the followers, and you have the followers of this pop star, and then you have the followers of the guy named the Butcher, and it's like the Butcher and Lady Raven are like the same. It's like the name kind of, I don't know, it's very interesting the way that he kind of, and obviously played less because you're not at like a butcher show, right? You're at the Lady Raven concert, but it's
But
no,
it is like a
it
butcher
no, it
show.
is. Yeah,
No,
no,
yes,
but it
That's
is
so
yes.
in
interesting.
that scene too. It really is like, hey, this guy has like, if you have a name with a butcher, like it's like you have like he's like this. It's like super villain thing. It's like you have followers and people who know who you are, and they've built you up to be this thing. It
Well,
very interesting.
I mean, the, that's like the true crime thing. It's like
Yeah,
there is to white women, right? There's like two gods. It's the pop star and the serial killer.
yeah,
You know, that's the thing in like Western society. Those like there's nobody
yeah,
else that are held to this higher standard in our minds than those two people. And having a movie be
yeah.
about those where it's like, oh, it's a show and the show is about the pop star, but then it's really about the serial killer.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
so interesting, and it's so few people are engaging. I don't want to keep talking about people, but yeah, it's like no,
Yeah.
there's so much going
Mhm.
on there.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow. Yeah. Wow. And yeah, I like that he acknowledged that like so many serial killers actually were abused. And like,
Mhm.
yeah, I like that he kind of played with that aspect of it and everything you said, Owen, about how he is like this irredeemable character. But yeah, I hadn't like fully locked into like that mirroring of Lady Raven
Yeah.
and the Butcher. That's so interesting.
There's
Yeah.
a lot, like this movie is so jam packed with so many. It's
I
tackling
know,
so
it's
much
almost overwhelming.
that it is, and I was just thinking about, because I was thinking about the end sequence, and even though like he is shown, he's never shown actually butchering someone, but like he's shown to be like evil, and like he is obviously the serial killer, but there was never a moment in the movie where I was like, I don't want him to escape. Like there was never.
Mhm.
It was constantly like, oh, he's going to fail. Like his luck is running out. But I was like, Josh Hartnett is so charismatic, and the way that he's in this movie, it's like I want to keep seeing him keep lucking out and keep getting out. Like I want to see him get out. I don't want to see him get caught. Which
I mean,
is
we've seen how much his daughter means to him for the
yeah.
first half
Yeah.
of this movie, right?
It's like
It's
Yeah.
like you don't want, yeah,
well, I wrote something in my review, but there's so many moments where he leaves his daughter, right, and he's like out trying to like escape, right, and I'm not like, oh, I don't think he's gonna get caught here. I'm like, I'm worried, like his daughter's like, where the fuck have you been? Like, why are
I
you
know.
leaving me? Like, this is important to me. Like, this is a big deal. Like, why aren't you here? Like, that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about him failing as a father, and that is like the big fear here for M. Night is like M. Night. This is a movie about like M. Night fearing like that he could be a bad dad. Like that's the biggest fear possible. It's like you could be a bad dad, and that is like the fear I have for Hartnett in this movie. Is like I worry less about him getting caught and him being a serial killer than him being a bad dad to his children, and he ultimately like he's failing as a dad because he's being a serial killer.
Yeah. I think it's the
Yeah.
double life thing as well.
Yeah.
Like that's what I
Mhm.
got out of it, where I was like, it's very clearly like selfish
Mhm.
interests that you have as a parent and like how that affects your
Yeah.
ability to be a good parent. And so like from a parent's perspective, it's always like this is your life that you have with your
Yep.
kids, and then like this is what I could do when I'm
Mhm.
not with my kids.
Yep.
And how much that crosses over and how often that kind of stuff makes you a bad parent. And then of
Mhm.
course in this case, I don't know, like it was just like I must
Yeah.
have been the only person there who started crying at the end, but like when his daughter hugs him, I'm like, this is the most
Yeah.
emotional shit. I'm like, there's like nothing that hurts more than like the moment where you realize like your parents aren't who you thought that they were.
Mhm.
Like it's like that's like
Yeah.
there's no coming back from that. I'm like, that
I
sucks.
I referenced
Like,
like addiction in my letterbox review, but there's that moment in the car with Salika where he's like, I just gotta do this one last one. And he's like, he
yeah.
knows he shouldn't, and he like part of it is like he has to escape, right? He like they know he's
Yeah.
there. But there's a part of him where he's like, he could let that guy go and he could, but he still has that like in him, and the lives are crossing, and he can't let that part go, to be the dad. He's still kind of addicted to this. He gets, what do they call it? The urge. He has that urge when
Yeah.
she's up on the stage.
Yeah.
That urge is taking over him. The monster is taking over him, and it's not allowing him to be the best version of himself. That good dad, that good husband, or whatever.
Yeah, he says it to his wife as well. Like
Yeah,
he's like, it's like not until he realizes that his wife set him up. He's like,
the
yeah, I've never
anger,
like hated you as much. Like
Yeah,
I've
the
never been as
anger.
the
angry as
The
anger.
like
yeah.
I love one of my favorite lines was when he was like he sees the vision of his mom after she drugged him. And
Mhm.
when I started tearing up when she was like, I accept you, But I love when he's like, I feel so angry, like I thought I was pretending, but I'm not. It's like only his kids could elicit like
Yeah.
true human emotion out of him.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. The
Lot
serial
going
killer,
on.
all the serial killer stuff is really interesting. This is stuff I didn't
Yeah.
even like realize the first time I was watching it because I was so focused on like the father-daughter stuff that
Yeah.
like it
Mhm.
wasn't until I watched it again, especially like I don't know. I was like the second time around, I was paying a lot of attention to like I guess like social media, like tech kind
Mhm.
of
Well,
side of it, where it's
that's a
like
whole nother aspect to
yeah,
it.
Yeah,
too.
that like
exactly.
There's just so
technology,
much.
There's so
It's like
surveillance,
much.
exactly like it's like there's
authority.
flashlights at the concert and like
Yeah.
he's so like you could tell how like
Beautiful image.
preoccupied he is with like paying
Mhm.
attention to everybody else and like
Yeah.
how they're on their phones and stuff. And then even so like to the point where like when he escapes the concert and like the limousine thing happens, the reason why he blends into the crowd is because they're all on their phones like worried about this celebrity. But then
Mhm.
it's also like if it wasn't for fucking Instagram Live, then they wouldn't have like saved this person's
Right.
life.
Yeah.
So it's like it's so interesting because like most people don't make a movie that's like social media sucks, but also it kind of brings us together. Most people are just like stop at the social media sucks part. So it's like really fascinating that he kind of just like does
Well,
both, and
that's
he's
the
yeah,
that's the
just the worst thing
optimism
ever, and
in M.
also
Night
great.
being like
Yeah.
technology is bad,
Yeah,
but it can be used for good and help people. Like
Well, but
it's
he's
that
also like had like his daughters grow up in the social media age, and I like how like he talks to what's his daughter's name?
Salika.
No,
Or
Salika.
in the movie,
oh
sorry.
Riley.
Riley?
Yeah.
Yeah, talking to Riley about how like these girls like they're
Yeah.
excluding her, and he's like, I forget exactly what he said, but he's like, it must be so hard seeing that like you are so connected when you're not
All the
really
time.
close.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like it's a moment that the movie's so big that it's hard, it's kind of easy to forget, but I love the moment where like he just gets so angry that his daughter is being like mistreated, like when he's talking to the like Jody's mom or something. He's like that's more like the angriest you see him in like the first half of the movie is like
Yeah.
when like his daughter's like friend's mom is like trying to like talk to him and
Yeah, he can't even really pretend in
yeah,
that
no, he
moment.
is
He
like
just
the
seems pissed
butcher in
off.
that moment. It's really great. It's like the moment. There's another moment when they meet and it's Jody's mom and then you have Cooper and then there's like the cops in the middle of them, and like everyone's like watching them because Jody's mom is like freaking out. That's a really good scene that I liked,
Yeah.
because it's like it's very interesting in terms of like the we're getting caught, people are gonna find me out, because it's not really what he's doing. It's more of like Jody's mom is like freaking out, but it still adds to like the thriller kind of aspect of the film.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask, because we're talking so much about Josh Hartnett, what
Yeah.
you guys think about some of the smaller performances, specifically Kid Cudi, but I guess anybody else who shows up as well.
That was funny.
Yeah, Kid Cudi was silly.
I've never like seen such a reaction to anybody in a movie
Crowd
as like
laughs every time. Every time the
Yeah.
crowd laughs at that
it's so
scene.
awesome.
It goes, and yeah, and it's really good. Yeah, there's so many good performances. I think Haley
I mean, M. Night
Mills is
shows up
kind
as
of
well.
Emi's really great. Haley
I love
Mills
him. He's
is
a good actor.
really good in like that smaller, but yeah, M. Night, that cameo is really strong. I like the way that he kind of is like guiding the plot forward. Like he's like, hey, we gotta
He's like,
get
yeah, my daughter's
we
awesome.
gotta get in the backstage. We gotta go see Salika. Really, really fun performance. Allison Pill is only in the movie for like that section, but she is really good in that, especially the scene of like the confrontation. I think she does a tremendous job.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like everybody in the movie. I was just asking about Kid Cudi because I had never like it was
Yeah,
just
no,
such
Kid Cudi's cool. He's trying to be in more movies.
yeah. No, it'd be cool if he was in it more. Like I think he's just really strong in those like two scenes, but it's like,
Yeah.
that's just how movies are.
I wish Russ wasn't in the movie. I guess that's my one big note. That really took me out for a second.
Do you
But
just not like him? Like what?
no, that guy stinks, bro. That guy stinks.
Yeah.
So it specifically took you out of the movie because you don't like his music.
I just don't like him as a person either. He just stinks,
Okay.
bro. I saw he
Yeah.
like popped up and was like, oh god, I got like whiplash. I was like, oh my
I
god.
kind of expected him to be in the movie because he was on the album, but I thought the scene was so strong with the whole like contraption underneath there, and Josh Hartnett
Mhm.
being like, "Hey, we should go." It's such a dad thing to do to be
That was
like,
maybe the funniest part of the movie when he was
"Hey,
That
like, "We should." He was like,
hey,
"We
we
should
should
go
go."
down there." She's like, "What are you
it
talking
was
about?"
so
He was
desperate.
Yeah,
so
They like the
confused.
costumes and things, and he's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. It's
"Please."
Yeah.
well, it's very funny because it teeters on the edge of like, oh, that's just a weird dad thing to do. Also, it's like just like a thing of like, oh, I like he's like lost his mind, like he is crazy. But it's like the line of being like crazy and just being a dad is like very close. And just being like
Yeah.
a weird dad is like that's very close, and like it's very interesting because it's like we as the audience are like, oh, he's just crazy, but his daughter is just like, Dad, you're being like weird, and then it's also like he's just weird, like with the stupid, the line about like the crispy stuff, like all that stuff, like that's just him being weird, and then and just being like a dad, like weird dad stuff. So it, like it's
Mhm.
very interesting the way they bounce off of like just being a weird dad and also just being like insane.
Yeah. Also,
Yeah.
the more you think about it, like when you bring up the crispy thing and everything, I'm like, there's really no like single moment in this movie where you could complain about his dialogue. I'm like, this is just like
Oh,
every single thing is the most dad thing. I'm like, this is all dad shit, like all of it.
One of our friends sent us a TikTok last night
oh
of
yeah.
this person who made a 10-minute video like breaking down my trap is bad. And I watched most of it, and I was just baffled that this person has like this massive platform and was making a 10-minute video talking about this movie being bad. But one of the things that they said was that, yeah, and also none of the dialogue makes any sense. It's like people kept going like, oh, this guy's weird, but you wouldn't say this guy's weird. You would be like, oh, hello police, this guy is crazy. And then she brought up, or they brought up, specifically the scene where Josh Hartnett's character, or Cooper, was like, "Hey, let's go underneath the thing," and then the daughter's like, "You're being really weird," and the person was like, "Oh, the daughter wouldn't say you're being really weird. The daughter would be like, 'Hello, you're crazy,' and it's like." It's the same thing. That's what they did. It's like I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just trying to. It's like
I think
so.
I think what they're
She's
Please,
like
referring
my
to.
12.
dad is trying to make me go in this like costume
No,
hole.
but
And
I
it's
Yeah,
think
like,
like
something interesting about it, which like Doug, I think you, I don't know, maybe talked about it a little bit, but like the so much of like what I think they're referring to is how easily things happen for him. I think like that's the dialogue that they're talking
Oh, let's
about
talk
is
about
like,
it.
you know what I mean? Like specifically like scenes where they're on
yeah.
the roof
How
and
did
he's
he
like, "Who
know
was
where
that
the
lady
sugar
leading the
was?
meeting?"
I
No, but like
ridiculous.
I think that's what people are complaining about is like that
No,
he
yeah,
like
it is.
talks to people
People
and then
keep
they
talking
like give
about
him answers to
the
shit. Like,
convenience of things and the way that he's able to maneuver easily, I guess.
Have they ever seen American Psycho?
yeah.
It's
Um,
I feel I
Yeah.
do you guys think that was intentional? Is there commentary there about the fact that he is not questioned on the
yes.
level that he
Yeah.
No.
should be
It's
because of what he looks like?
Mm-hmm.
no.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the convenience and of being like a, like an attractive
Yeah.
or like professional looking white man.
Well, and also
It's
attractive,
yeah.
yeah, like Kid Cudi is like looking at him like with
Yeah,
Yeah.
fucking
No.
eyes as
exactly.
he
You
walks.
just yeah. You just like if you say the right things and you look the right
And
way, you just
he's
get you just
He's
confident.
yeah
He's
confident. Yeah,
confident.
he just
He's
like
Right.
knows his
charismatic.
yeah.
He's attractive. He's
yeah.
white. He's able to kind of do whatever he wants, really, because of those things. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
It's
that's
commentary.
just how society is, and that's what M. Night's
Yeah.
Right.
talking about. It's all yeah,
And those are like, I mean, that's like all of the lines of dialogue that they're complaining about, and
It's
it's just got such an obvious
it's
answer.
so ridiculous that like it's come down to this point because it's so kind of, I mean, like just sitting there, and that's why I loved watching it that many times because I can just kind of like soak in it and like just like take everything because there's so much, and but it's so crazy that where we are at this point is like it's just boggled down to like, oh, this is just dumb. Like this is just bad. It's like there's just so much packed into these, and there's so much intention in all of the dialogue that it's kind of sad to see how many people just kind of dismiss it. And it's very
Yeah.
interesting to see because I know Doug said earlier, like, I don't know how you could watch this movie and be like, oh, this doesn't look good. But it's like people don't care about that stuff. It's like people
Yeah.
just watch Deadpool and Wolverine and were like 5 stars because it's like they don't give a shit how it looks. and like
Yeah,
and there's so
they
much.
care more about, like, the logic of the premise, which is, like, what they
Well,
signed up for, where it's like, oh, like, they see the trailer and they're like, "Oh, this is exciting because he's trapped at the concert and blah, blah, blah," and then they, like, complain when he gets out, but it's like, did you want it to be realistic? Because, like, nobody can escape that, like, it's like no serial killer is, like, a mastermind that could escape, like,
Yeah.
400 SWAT officers raiding a like, it's you know what I mean? It's like you're
Mhm.
asking for it to not be a movie, like, it would
Well,
be 20 minutes long, like, it's like, what do you
there there's an element of it, like, it's like when I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, there's like a video gamey aspect to like the way
Yeah.
that people are like
yeah.
reading. Like it's like if you were in a game and like a NPC would say a line, it's like, oh, that's how I have to get out of this level, or like it's like that's a clue,
Right.
right? It's like someone might see that and be like, oh, this they're talking like a video game character. This is bad. Where it's like, oh, maybe
Yeah.
that's like I don't know. It's like everything that's not like this one way to say dialogue, write dialogue, or how movies work. It's like, oh, it's just automatically bad rather than like, oh, what's the intention? Like, what does this mean in the context of this film? Or really like
Yeah.
any thought behind it besides like, oh, it's just bad.
It is so weird that like we're so obsessed with things being realistic now. Like I don't know when it started to happen. I feel like it's like an MCU thing.
I think
Well,
it's a
I don't
newer
know.
thing. Yeah,
It's a
no, it
new
prob
did
the
did
MCU
you guys
probably
Christopher
did
made
you
Nolan.
the
guys
difference.
Christopher
Christopher
Nolan.
Nolan. Did you guys see the tweet where someone was like, everyone's saying like the MCU blah 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 has never heard of seen like African cinema, and it was this clip.
It's
Did
such a
you see that?
yeah. It's
I
because
do
it's
No,
not.
like,
I don't know.
Oh,
What are
oh
Doug,
you
you
my god,
got to
talking
see
about?
I'll
it.
send this to you guys after. It's
There's
like
so many great responses to it.
it's like
Yeah, yeah.
I don't even remember it's the entire tweet, but it's like you guys are giving these half stars to these like modern American blockbusters, and then you don't give it to like and they're like you've never seen a bad movie. Like it's basically like you guys have never seen a bad movie. You're giving half stars to these movies that cost a lot of money that were made in America. And then it's like this really like cool, like actually with like intent, like low budget film. And it's just really interesting how that's the view. And there's like this level of like
Yeah, you've never seen Captain Alex before. You've never seen a
it's
bad movie.
it's like,
Oh,
yeah, no, but
it
it's like
rocks.
it's a
Like, what are you
level of
talking about?
like, oh, it's like, oh, this movie costs a lot. It kind of deserves more praise than a movie that doesn't have that much money behind it.
Well, yeah, it's
Yeah.
so interesting. Like everyone's responding saying, like, first of all, these people are making these movies for like $10, often in like war zones, and the
Yeah.
action is shot better than it is in fucking Deadpool and
Yeah,
Wolverine.
yeah.
But it's also like I'm watching this and I'm like, first of all, it's like visually more interesting. They're like doing things practically, and I'm like, whoa, that's so cool. Like I wonder like how they did that. And then it's like we're going and watching Deadpool and Wolverine. It's just like the most bland, depressing visuals you've ever seen in your life. But just because they make like dick jokes, it's like how could you possibly give
Sydney,
this half a
you don't know
star?
how to have fun. You
I know.
know?
That's just, I guess
Someone,
that's it.
someone commented like I gave it 1.5 stars. Someone was like, "How depressed could you be?" I'm like, "What?" And then I see tweets where it's like, the MCU is like a comfort for depressed people. I'm like, but
Oh
maybe
my
God,
it's
god,
that
like,
was one
no,
of the
there's that Reddit
all-time
post
worst
where
ones.
it's
I'm
like,
like, what is
yeah.
going on?
Oh my god.
It's
Yeah.
it's
So I'm just
weird.
like, it is just, it's sad when we are not, allowing freedom in the art form anymore for people to like experiment with like dialogue and like imagine worlds that are not our own.
It
And
used to
people
be
don't
fun to
maybe
think
talk the way that
critically
we talk.
also. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Like,
It
people
used to
used
be
to
fun
think
to
for
think.
fun,
It's just
you
like
know?
think,
Yeah, like,
period. Like
We're
people
not doing
used to
that
actually, like,
anymore.
watch stuff or read
Yeah.
stuff or do anything and, like, have fun doing it because it was, like, engaging for their brain. Like, that was, like, a thing that used to happen not too long ago.
Yeah.
So, but you brought up how like what happened? Like why are people like annoying about things not being realistic? This is something that M like gets pinned down more than any other auteur, American or not even just any auteur.
Mhm.
Because fucking Luca Guadagnino just had a movie that came out this year, also shot by Mukti
Prom.
Prom, called Challengers. Very good movie.
Heard of it?
Shit
Big
is not
deal.
realistic at all. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
very like there are some people that are like, oh, it doesn't make sense why this guy that's like
Well, it's
trying to win a
melodrama. It's
major is playing
melodrama.
at like this minor challengers tournament, or like why his wife like none of like the characters like none
The
of these
whole like
situations make
windstorm at
sense.
the end.
Yeah, but it's
Mhm.
like there's some people that like get caught up on stuff like that, but most people just accept it because it's a movie, right? And there's just things have to happen because it's a movie and it's narrative fiction.
Mhm.
But
Well, movies just aren't like natural in general. Like it's a movie. Like movies, it's not a documentary. We've just kind of there's been an accepted way of like, oh, this is what natural is in a movie. But it's like that's also just not natural. Like that's just not how like there's a
Yeah.
movie
No,
logic.
exactly.
There's a movie logic to every movie. It's not like I didn't just set up a camera and just like let people just walk around. Like these aren't real people. This isn't really happening. Like this is a movie.
Yeah.
So there's like a weird level of like there's a lot of people who just accepted like, oh, this is how movie naturalism is, and they but also it's not. That's fake too, right? It's all fake. It's a movie, so it's weird that
And people don't like one of the things that they always fucking repeated to us, like when I
Yeah.
was taking screenwriting classes, was like they specifically were like, do not write like it's real life. People don't want to watch that shit. And it's like then
yeah,
people watch
no,
stuff like this and complain about it, but it's like it's true. Like they think applying like real world logic to M Night makes sense, but it's like nobody wants to actually see all of like I've seen videos where people are like, oh, like these are like my least favorite like cliches in movies, and I'm like, these things exist because if the movies did what people do in
yeah.
real life, you would be fucking bored. Like it's like phone
Well,
call
that's the
things,
thing.
for example, like
Yeah,
little things. It's like you wouldn't have a conversation in a movie, like a phone conversation, the way you do on the phone, like in real life with like greetings and like how you hang up. Because like people would be like, why the fuck why is this going on for so long? Like it's like all these little things like nobody considers, but it's like that just makes sense. Like you just have accepted that because that's just how movies are supposed to be.
Yeah.
So it's like weird that then they watch this and then we skip steps. It's like you're supposed to skip steps because nobody wants to fucking see those steps.
But then you take a step back, like another step back, even farther away from that, and
Yeah.
you stop talking about it like it's entertainment and like how like films are like inherently entertainment for like these specific things and crafted like this, right? And you need to engage with it like it's art, right? And think
Yeah.
about what is the movie about? And that is something that just fundamentally it feels like across the board like people that pretend to be serious critics just cannot do with M Night. They just can't.
Yeah.
They just cannot. They cannot engage with it like what it like a piece of art and really think about what is it about and how do these decisions, bring out themes and bring out some kind of like intention and viewpoint of the world and or et cetera, et cetera. Like
Yeah.
well, that's what's so interesting about Trap. Is what it's all about because it's about so much. It's about
Yeah.
so much. It's
Mhm.
so rich and complex thematically.
Well, and it is specifically M. Night that people just don't want to engage with still. I mean, the whole like backlash critically and commercially, like racist YouTuber nitpicking era has done irreparable damage, like forever. I don't know if it's ever not going to be like this. And I don't know if you
I
guys
don't.
also saw the tweet where they're like, I don't think you need to defend the guy who's been working in commercial cinema for 20 years or
Bad
whatever. I'm
tweet.
like,
That's
the
a
dude
bad tweet.
literally has
It's a
to
bad
like
tweet.
fund his own movies because he was so
He had to like
rejected.
basically restart his career.
Yeah.
Like the visit
Yeah,
was
no,
a
yeah.
reset. Like that, it's not like he is like we're not defending like Christopher Nolan or something who can like do whatever he wants.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
No, yeah.
it's
Like Greta Gerwig doesn't need white knights. It's like
yeah, like she's fine for now. The
no.
Narnia movie
Yeah,
might
not a threat.
the Narnia movie might tank everything. I don't know.
Yeah.
The
it
Narnia
really
movie is her last Airbender.
it really was this specific era of YouTubers that I think really kind of put the nails in the coffin for M
Yeah.
Night. I was talking about this a little bit with some people in our Discord server, where I think that specifically the YouTuber fucking YMS made a series of videos that were takedowns of After Earth and talking about like why is After Earth like the worst movie ever. And those videos were very popular like fucking 15 years ago or whatever. And I think those videos, like the repercussions of those videos are still being felt today about Trap and
Yeah.
After Earth. Like, like Will Smith has been canceled like twice since After Earth has come out. It's like we're so far. Like Jaden Smith was like a little kid in that movie.
Yeah.
It's like we're
Which-
so far removed from that. Like
That
it's,
is that is the Russ replacement. In the perfect version of this movie, Jaden Smith returns from After Earth and he like rises up out of the ground. And that
that would be incredible.
No,
I would
but
have cried.
I
Yeah.
do think like what you say about that YouTube stuff is like people grew up on that and then it's like that's just how they view everything. And it's like,
Yeah.
unless you are like directly like attacking the way that you have been viewing things and like being like, oh, is this like, am I actually thinking right, or like actually trying to think, like you have to like rearrange the way that you've been thought to think. Otherwise you're just going to be thinking like YouTube criticism for the rest of your life about movies. And like we have this like generation that it has kind of been harmed by that. And it's, yeah, you're really seeing it as these people grow older and just kind of be like the prominent members that are talking about these movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Part of it is just like the thing that annoys me is just that like the people who get the most views talking about it are always the dumbest ones. Like that's just how it goes. Not always, but like, not like, and I'm not even saying it like about, but there's like people,
Yeah,
there's
no,
like
not
people
to
who are
name any
popular.
names or anything.
No. There's people who are popular who have good opinions. My point is that like it's way easier to make a video being like, here's why After Earth is like the biggest piece of shit ever, and have like everybody rally behind it, rather than make a video being like, here's why After
Making
Earth is
jokes about his
actually like
name.
worth
Oh,
watching.
that was so
And
bad. That
Oh
was
my
so
god.
bad.
Oh my god.
I don't even want to talk
I didn't
about
see it.
that.
They're blocked.
I don't even want to.
Yeah, I'm blocked, so I couldn't see it. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, bro had to send. Yeah, it's
Badge of honor.
People went
Badge of
out of their
honor.
way after I made a video about it, though. People went out of their way in my comments to be like, "How is this racist?" And I'm like, "There's no way we're this stupid."
Bro,
I'm like,
it's
"There's
on his
actually no, there's
Wikipedia.
no way
It's
you can
on
even
his
use."
Wikipedia that this is a racist thing that happened to him. Like it's
It's just
literally
like
on.
no, but it's
like
even like
it's
aside from that, like it's
documented
like you
stuff.
actually are not
But, like,
using
think
your
about
like
it for, like,
nobody
2
should need to
seconds.
explain that to you. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like nobody should need to
Yeah.
explain like this is racist to somebody. Like
Because
there's just
people think
there's
if you're
no way.
unless you're using a slur, it's like how could that possibly be racist? It's like consider the context
Yeah.
that's happening
Words-
here.
what you think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Okay. Words don't have meaning anymore.
Fucking grow up.
Yeah. I feel like we're going so far from the trap conversation.
Oh, but it's
Well,
No,
but
this is all about
is, like,
Trap.
it's like
important.
every
Yes,
single
it's
time one of
Trap
his movies
exists in the
come out,
context of
Yes, you're
everything that
right.
came
in
before it.
before.
And
You're
after
correct.
what are we getting?
Man.
3-4 movies? This is we're
Oh my
Dude,
gosh.
oh, and I know you saw that, but man, I just love him so much. Like he
Yeah.
really, he doesn't go out and like, okay, he did Lady in the Water, which like I thought it was funny that he was kind of like, fuck all of
Yeah,
you
fuck
in
the
that
critics.
movie.
Which
He
I
got
want.
it
We
out
need
of
to
his
do that again. I
system.
need more fuck
I
the
think
critic
so
movies.
too.
It's
Bro, straight up makes
Yeah.
Lady in the Water 2. Like
Yeah,
Lady in the
yeah.
Water, then number 2 big on the poster.
Yes.
Bring
Paul
back Bryce Dallas
Giamatti,
Howard.
he's back.
Bruh, he was so good in that movie. But yeah, I just like the fact that he just like kept going and he refused to
Mhm.
compromise his vision and like what he wants to make and like just being himself. Like he makes some of the most honest films you will ever watch. And it's so inspiring that he has just never given up on that, considering he has received some of the most hate of like any popular American
Oh,
director
Yeah.
ever. And he's clearly passing that on to his kids. Like Salika has said a lot in interviews about that. By the way, she's like good.
Yeah.
I thought she was like really good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
in
we
this
didn't talk about
movie.
it. She becomes a really big, like one of the main
Yeah, no,
characters.
it
in
makes
the
Yeah.
last
sense.
part of the movie.
She's got great eyes. Like
Yeah.
she's really
Maybe
like
my favorite, like, just like 1 second moment is the moment where she is like trying to figure out what to do in the like they're sitting at like the family's house, and she's like her eyes like bolt up, and she's like, "Oh, I'll play a song for you."
yeah.
like,
And then it pans over to the piano.
it's
Also
so-
one of the funniest
that's
parts. That's so good.
Yeah,
like
that's funny.
that's my maybe like just like favorite little bit, because she's incredible, and I think she's not only incredible as an actress, but I think she's a really good singer, and it like I think this
Yeah.
movie would
And
have
made a whole
suffered.
album for the movie,
No,
which is
I think the
crazy.
album, I think
Like,
the album's not only good, but I think if the album was worse, there'd be like the movie would be worse. I think it's a big part of
Yeah.
the movie. Is like
he said that at the premiere as well. Is that like he wanted to like he was like he talked about all the other things, but then he was like, I wanted like this to feel like a concert film as well. Like he was like, we made the album for
Yeah,
the movie. Like
no,
we made the movie
it's-
around the album, and like we want there to be scenes where it feels like you're watching a concert film.
Yeah, the fact that they really put on like a real
Oh, yeah, it's
concert,
a
like I don't
real-
know if I have ever watched. They talk so much about like Purple Rain and how they kind of wanted to do like, create an album around it,
Yeah.
and it does really give it like a really distinct and immersive feeling compared to when you can tell it's like something more staged. But yeah, like I'm glad that there haven't been more like, oh, it's nepotism, like he just wanted to make this for his daughter. And I think it's because like the music is actually
She's
good.
good.
Yeah.
It would
Yeah.
definitely be like if it was like really bad, like it would be horrible.
Yeah, it'd
But
be
like
like, yeah.
it's really good. I was thinking about Lady in the Water and the fact that he's like, yeah, so we're just gonna build this like motel thing. Like it was just like I
Mhm.
want like that's what I
Yeah.
need. Like it's like the budget. It's like if I'm gonna have this budget, like I'm going to build this area. Like this is because like that's important to me and for the film. It's like him being like, okay, we're gonna do this concert film. We're going to do like an entire concert. Like it's going to be
Mhm.
real deal. Like that's important to me for the film. And there's so much of him that's like this stuff like is important and like I'm going to fight for that. Like I think there are important parts of the film and I will fight for that. I'm going to make the film I want to make. And he's seen in the past like when he's not able to fight and he's not able to win those battles, what happens to the film. And there's so much about like his uncompromised art that is just so powerful. And I think like you said, there are so many people like Xavier Dolan maybe who would be like,
We're gonna
oh,
talk about him later.
yeah, not to let no.
That fucking
There are
loser, bro.
filmmakers. There are
Jesus
filmmakers
Christ.
that receive like nowhere near the amount of hate that would just like kind of disappear and take a step back. But he's like, no, this means something to me, and this is a lifelong battle, and like I'm going to fight for my art, and I'm going to make as many movies as I can, and I'm
Yeah.
going to make the movies, and I'm going to put my heart into these movies. I'm going to put me into these movies, and I'm going to put me out to the world. And I don't care what everybody else says. I'm going to make the exact movie I want to make, and I'm going to put my daughters in these movies, and I'm going to. There's so much about it where it's like I'm just going to do what I want
Yeah.
to do, and it's like an incredibly earnest way. Like it's like,
Mhm.
he's not
I
like
wish people could just listen to him
it's
talk because I don't know
so
that it would actually change that much of the opinion, but like I do really feel like if a lot of people actually like heard him talk, they would like him so much more. Like he's just like
yeah
such like even before the movie when he walked out on stage, like one of the things that he said that like it was, I mean, not that anybody else wouldn't say this, but like you could tell he really means it, was him just being like, you like if there are any artists in the crowd, like if anybody wants to be a filmmaker, like keep doing it, and if people say that it sucks, then that means you're doing something right. And I was just like, yeah, you rock, man.
Yeah, he has had so
um
many great like yeah, listening to interviews like you can just tell the man is a genius and he loves
Yeah,
what he does. And yeah, it is like there was an interesting conversation that came up with like Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom
another thing we're
and
going to talk about on the news
oh,
today.
Psychic
okay.
oh
Yeah,
we
so
can talk about it now. Yeah.
No, yeah, you
well,
could
so
go
I just
for it.
want to relate it to, and also like I was kind of thinking about it as people were talking about how Sean Levy was like sharing pirated videos of his movie from the theater.
Yeah, what
And a
is
lot
going
of
on
people
with
are
that?
saying like there's a difference between like creating art because you love to do it and you like have pride in your work versus like doing it for money and for fame and stuff like that. I'm not saying that's the only reason that any of these other people do it, but M Night just so clearly like cares about the art and he doesn't care if his movies make money. He will fund them himself. He doesn't care if people like it. He had this really great like quote that I love where he said like he loves movies like Lady in the Water and like The Village because he thinks if he expresses himself and shows himself in his movies as much as he can, audiences will like them more over time. Like they will like have this really long lifespan because it's like him and he's not trying to like appeal to anyone or like appeal to the current moment or anything like that.
Yeah,
And yeah.
it's it's really hard to like I do understand it from just like a pure like greed perspective, but also like just it's hard to even take people seriously as artists sometimes when like stuff like the RDJ thing happens, because it's just like when you stack them up against each other, like what I thought about was sports, where it was like there's so many athletes who will literally go like 10 years of their career or whatever like losing all the time and make like $200 million doing it, and then they have the option to take like way more millions of dollars to keep playing for a shitty team, or take like a tiny little bit less, like you're still getting paid like $30 million a year to go like try to win a championship, and they're just like, no, I want the extra $10 million. I'll keep being shit. And it's
It's
just like
fascinating,
you
right?
like it's like the guy still got paid like $5 million to make Oppenheimer, and then immediately goes right
Millions
back
of
to
dollars.
yeah,
It's
that's
an
what I'm saying.
obscene amount
Like
of money.
like it's like you're still like you could still do this all the time. Like you could work with Christopher Nolan and make millions of dollars still and make good movies, or you could
Yeah.
get paid extra millions of dollars to keep making shit. And it's just like
He's
Well,
getting
it's 'cause
paid
it's
so
like
much money
no,
for
of
these
course.
music
He's
So
he's a
much.
bad example
It
because
is
the gap is so
You
big. But I'm just
could
saying,
yeah,
like,
that's
he's
what
not
I was
the
gonna say.
only
Like the gap
like
is
M
like
Night could make
he's
his
not the
next
only
4
person
movies with
doing
that much money. Like,
Yeah.
it's
But
ridiculous.
I'm just saying, like, so many people do that, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's not obviously he's like the most extreme
Well,
example where
I
it's like
think
I
it's
get it, like he's
funny.
gonna get greedy, but
It's crazy that happened, but I think it's funny the way, and we kind of tie it back into how people are, uh, you know, not talking, just kind of interacting with these, pieces. I talked about it last episode, but these movies existing to make money, and that's just all they're existing to do. And then people being like, "Well, isn't that just what movies are?" Like people being confused that is a criticism, right? And it's like
Oh.
if that guy who's like, "Oh, movies just exist to make money," goes to see Trap, where it's like this is literally somebody's like just taking their heart and putting it into a script in a movie, and then it's like it's a weird clash, and I don't it's bizarre. I really bizarre because I think that's why M Night's movies attract to so many people, is because it's like this is someone putting their like skin on the page, right? This is just them. And that's why those movies, like you said, Lady in the Water, stuff like that, last longer and have those long things where it's like something like Deadpool and Wolverine, where it's just like, I'm going to exist for this opening weekend, and this is going to be an event, and it's not really going to matter after this, but
Yeah.
rather than like this is someone's soul in a movie.
Friend of the pod, Nalbus, said
Yeah, that was a good tweet.
on Twitter, he was like, imagine showing somebody Deadpool and Wolverine 100 years from now, and it's like
yeah, it would mean
just
nothing.
like it's
It would
an
be you wouldn't
impossible
even be
thought
able to
process.
yeah, you wouldn't
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
be able to process what
And
you're watching.
Yeah, true.
and that's the thing, is like the movies, the cameras might get better or whatever, and whatever, like time will go by, right? But movies that have like a human being in them, like they just don't age. Like that's not it. Like it's like movies that were made, you know, 80 years ago, 100 years ago, still are great because they have like a soul in them. They're not trying to it's not about making money, right? That's like
Yeah.
not the sole purpose, because those movies aren't going to age well, because you don't make money 100 years from now. You're not making money 100 years from now. You're not making money 50 years from now. It's about like just making a good piece of art. Like good art has existed for thousands of years, and that's it's removed from that kind of thing. Obviously money is involved, and movies are like the most financially tied in art form there is, but it's like, if we're talking about quality, if we're actually critiquing a movie, if we're actually talking about what is about this movie that works, what is this movie outside of, was it fun, it's everything else besides the money stuff. People buy tickets to see a fun movie, and then that's it, right? It's like the money stuff isn't tied to the value or anything.
Well, it's even like with like comic book movies or blockbusters or whatever. It's like, why can't it be both? Like that's what a lot of people are saying. Like, okay, it's fun, and like if they want to put jokes in the script, whatever. But the movie also like looks like shit, and it's like, why
So
aren't you
fucking
like,
ugly, dude.
why aren't you expecting it to look better than this, considering that it costs this much and you are the one paying to see it?
Yep.
Like, I tweeted about Sean Levy like sharing the pirated videos, and someone was like, have fun coping when it makes like $1 billion this weekend, and I'm like, are you getting a cut? Like, why are you trying to
seethe
like
and cope, you woke liberal?
I know, I'm like, why are you trying to dunk on me like you're making the money? Like you're the
Yeah.
one fucking giving them the money
Yeah.
for slop. Like,
Well, that's the
yeah.
thing, is when Kevin Feige or some like some Disney head or whatever, they make a movie and they don't put any effort into how it looks. They don't really put much effort into the script or something. Like they put as minimal effort as they can, right? And it makes $2 billion. What does that say to Kevin Feige, right? It doesn't tell him, oh, I need to make these movies look better. I need to hire different people. It's like, if Sean Levy can make a $2 million movie that looks like ass, and it makes $2 billion, like whatever. It's like, if the profit is like that, it's like that's all they're looking at, right? So it's like, it's so tied into this, like, you're making these bad movies make billions of dollars, so then you're just gonna get more bad movies. But it's also like the people watching them, like, it's like they like it, like that's what they want. So it's like a continuous cycle of like slop.
I think I've been reading about Hong Kong cinema recently. I've been reading I think his name is David Bordwell, his textbook called Planet Hong Kong. and he talks about in that book about how, unlike a lot of different countries where art cinema is like stipend out of taxes, and then like
Mhm.
like the government is able to promote certain artists, like oh god, I don't know how to pronounce
Don't
anybody's
do
names
it. Don't say a
actually.
name.
But like the guy that directed The Assassin, I, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but directors like that who are or even like Lars von Trier and stuff, who are given like money from the countries that they shoot in and live in, right,
George Miller,
to
the
make movies.
Furiosa. They
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Mm.
That's like the most extreme example,
yeah.
right? But like they're able to get money from their countries to go out and like try and win awards or whatever at festivals. Like that doesn't exist in America, obviously, and that doesn't exist in Hong Kong. But in Hong Kong, the genre cinema, which is all held up from the industry of people buying tickets to go see it and profit driven, it is still so artful, and it is still so craft driven, and it is still like this whole like different thing where like auteurs are making like movies with like energy and like pushing forward uh yeah, like digital cinema and all of these different ways to frame things. And then like I just watched SPL2, The Time for Consequences, which is just like an insane technical achievement for like what that guy's doing with the digital camera back in 2015. It is so fucking crazy to watch. And then you go see Deadpool and Wolverine, and it's like, okay, guys, so we're gonna shoot on the blue screen. We're gonna shoot, and we're gonna set up these cameras. I'm gonna do like these takes like this, and then it's I don't. It's so fucking ugly. It's so ugly. It's so gross.
So
We're gonna shoot this
ugly.
place called the Void. We're gonna set this movie in a place called the Void, right? And there's gonna be nothing in there, and it's
No, it
gonna look
looks
like shit.
bad because
It
it's
looks
the
bad.
void.
It looks so bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're only gonna be real for half of the scene. We'll just CGI it for the
Yeah,
rest
yeah.
of
Yeah,
the
we're gonna
time.
figure it out. We're gonna figure it out in post.
Is there any
Yeah.
way to connect this
Yeah, how do
back to
we? How do
Trap?
we?
Do we wanna
Anyways,
say
support
anything else about Trap?
the real movies that look good and have
Like Trap,
interesting things to
yeah.
say, like
Yeah.
Trap.
Yeah, no, true.
Well, I
Trap
guess
looks so good.
I wanted to talk about
It's so
the
beautiful.
ending of the film, specifically the moment where he like gets out of those handcuffs, and it is like that kind of, in a way, like that optimistic M Night ending, because it's like not like the sad like, oh, he got caught, like it's like he's laughing and smiling
Yeah.
at the end. I just wanted to see what you guys thought about the way this movie ended, particularly that scene.
I had a really
Very
big smile on
awesome.
my face.
I
I was
did
like,
too. I was like kind
Yeah.
of laughing at the end of it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
well, I don't know. Do you
Like
guys
almost
think
makes you
it's
feel bad because he's a serial killer.
Well, that's what I was like the
but-
whole time. I'm rooting for him, and you get that like moment where it's like, oh, he's gonna escape, and they don't show it, and it's like you can kind of infer, and you can kind of have your own imagining of what happens next. But it is like
Yeah.
the way that he, like his face and the performance there, it's like, oh, okay, this is like a happier ending, but it's also like very sad when you kind of, it's almost like the addiction thing. It's like he couldn't even
That's what
he
I was
couldn't
gonna.
even get the cuffs on his hands. He couldn't even go to jail, let his daughter, have a better life without him. He couldn't let up. He still has to go. He can't even
hmm
he can't
Yeah.
stop. He can't put himself down.
I mean, that's
That's
the
what I was
more
gonna
like,
say.
yeah, that's the, it's really the only way to look at it, because if you do the whole like
Yeah.
logic brained, like what happens next kind of thing, it's just like
They're
he's
gonna
just gonna be
he's gonna be
running
a
away
fugitive.
from
Yeah.
the same people again. Like
That's the
it's
next
just gonna be
Trap
what we just
2 is
watched
him
for
like
2 hours
running away.
anyway.
who won
Yeah,
the
and it's like
who won
really
the
the
tennis
only
game?
reason he
Yeah.
has to escape is like kill more people or see his daughter again. And it's like they're gonna know he escaped, so he can't go see his daughter again.
Yeah.
Like it's like you have
But
a
it's
better
Yeah,
like
chance of seeing your
he's
daughter
just
in jail.
yeah.
the way that I interpret that ending is like, and that makes this movie about how Western society um allows monsters like Cooper to kind of exist and thrive to a certain extent. And then at the end of the movie, it's him kind of saying, "You can't control the monster. You have to kill it. You have to kill it." And that is, it's kind of fucked up and sad when you
Yeah.
think about it.
Well,
Yeah.
if I guess in that context, or like that reading, it's like him easily being able to get out of those handcuffs. It's like him saying like, as a white man like this, it's easy for them to kind of break out of the legal system and still be
hmm
able to live
Yes.
on, even though they are like these monsters, right? They can. It's like that's how easy it is for them to fly by after doing all these horrible things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen readings of it that it's like someone was like it's M Night's like most cynical movie. I don't see it overall as like a cynical thing. Like I don't think the central conceit. I think at the end of the day, he is trying to see like something beautiful about humanity. But yeah, I do think the ending. It's like he's. Yeah, I
I mean,
agree.
at the end, it's like him. I don't know. It's like Owen said before. It's
I
like
don't.
he's making a movie about being worried about being a bad parent, and it's
Yeah, yeah.
like
I don't know. I think
feeding into like the stuff that makes you a selfish bad parent at the end is like obvious. Like it's his biggest fear. So I get that that's like a
it's
little
dark.
less.
I think Knock at the Cabin is like way dark. Like
Yeah,
it's like there's like
Knock at
yes,
the Cabin
it's
like
like that's
isn't
like it,
cynical though.
but it's
yeah. It's I
I
mean
think
the
it's
ending of Knock at the Cabin
ultimately
is like very
optimistic.
it
optimistic.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, most movies are
but it's
optimistic.
it's
It's
depressing
like that
before
Well,
movie
that's
that.
is
the
that
because
movie is a
people
sadder movie.
criticize Knock at the Cabin for being optimistic because he changes the ending of the book because the book is
Yeah.
very cynical.
Yeah,
and
they were
then
like, we have to see a kid die. They
Yeah.
were like,
Yeah.
we gotta
I
watch this
I
little
think that
girl
movie's
die.
it's that movie's ultimately more of a downer for me than this one though. In terms of just like someone dies, right? Like I think it's like if the wife dies here or something like that, like then it's like really like I don't know. At the end of it, it's like he's bad, like he's whatever, but like the everyone else survives, and there's like that level of
No,
optimism is high. It's
Yeah.
really high.
I felt I think of my immediate like viewing of it was like this is really funny and I had a smile on my face, and then
Yeah.
like my post watching it
It's
mind was like, oh, this is actually really sad
Oh.
because like his
yeah.
daughter is just never gonna see her dad again, and
Mhm.
like
Well,
she loves him, and
the
it's like that sucks.
after watching it again, like when I was watching it again, I was like, oh, this is their last day together, right? Like when you're watching it,
Yeah.
like this is that memory that she's gonna
There's
be
even like a
replaying
line where
for the
someone
rest.
He's
says
like, your
like, oh, she's
daughter's
gonna
never
have
gonna
the
forget
yeah
today.
exactly
Yeah. It's that this is like the memory she's gonna be replaying as her dad's like in jail, and like this is what she
yeah
thinks about, and there was like that last hug, right? That's like that big thematic moment. It's like this is the last time she's going to really have this with her father. So like on
yeah.
second watch, like that's like it's really strong in terms of like because you
So,
don't know what's gonna happen as first watch. Like you're like you don't know. It's you know what's gonna happen, and then
I
it
was
gets
talking to Tyler Whitmore about it, friend of the pod,
shout out.
and he was like, he was like, he was like talking about this specifically, like her, like this being like the memory of her dad. He was like, yeah, it reminds me of After Sun. I was like, that's a crazy double feature. I was like,
Yeah,
that's a wild double feature
I
now.
didn't even think of
But
that.
yeah, it kind of
It
is.
is like in terms of like that being the memory, right? We're living that memory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the
Wow.
ending though. It just
Yeah.
like the
No.
more I think about it, the
Yeah.
more I'm just like, oh, that kind of sucks.
And I like the credit scene, I guess. It
Oh, that's
Right,
so
Oh
that was
cute.
yeah.
so funny.
he
Very
was really
silly.
good too. He was very cute.
He's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
good in the movie. We didn't
Well,
even really talk about him when we were talking about the supporting
we talked
characters,
about him a
but
little, but I was happy of his inclusion, and I think it's funny that he's I don't know. M Night is very smart in that way because when this trailer came out, all people were talking about was like, "Oh, this guy rocks! Like, I love this guy!" Right? And then
Mm-hmm.
like his inclusion, like all of his stuff in the movie is like, "Oh, this guy rocks! I love this guy." So for him to be in it as much as he was, like that was a really nice surprise in terms of like
Yeah.
I didn't know what we were gonna get from the movie entirely. Him being in that whole scene where he helps him, and then there's like an end credit scene where he's really funny in. It's like, oh, he's one of our main players. And I really like this guy, and he adds so much to the film that I really
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
enjoy.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to say about Trap before we wrap up?
It's a good movie.
Yeah, it's so
no,
good. It's so good.
Okay.
I'm assuming.
I'll go as far like if you
Do we know how much how good it's doing, like box
it
office
is
I
wise
think it
in
was
the
like
post
six
Deadpool and Wolverine week?
tracking to open
6 million.
between 15 and 20.
Okay.
Yeah, which is more than his last two movies did.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's gonna do
That's
good
nice.
because I mean,
I mean, my
people.
theater was packed.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
Really?
my
Mine
regular
weren't
theater was packed.
super packed.
I
Yeah.
also like go to I can never judge off my theater because my theater is like a centrally located theater in a mall, so it's just
Mm-hmm.
kind of packed for everything. So it's really hard for me to like gauge how much people are actually
Yeah.
watching movies. But my theater, I mean,
yeah.
other than like
So
the front two rows, my theater was like full.
it costs 30 to make. So I mean, if it's making like 20 this weekend or something, like
It'll
That'd be good.
it'll
He'll
make
be
money.
fine.
It's like all of his movies, so you don't even have to worry about it.
yeah,
All of
no,
his
yeah.
movies.
I wonder where he ranks with like proportionately like how much profit he makes from his movies.
I mean, he's made like I read it somewhere. It's like $3 billion over all of them. It's like
wow, and he's probably spent like
most
like
of
not a lot.
yeah, no, which is it's just the interesting thing when we talk about like his reception and like him doing future movies and stuff because like he's always talked about like I don't want to do like a big CGI movie, like I don't want to do something like because that's not what I'm good at, right? But I've always like I've said recently like I'd love to see him be able to just have unlimited tools, right? Because it doesn't have to be. It can be like Lady in the Water, right? $70 million, but he built like the whole thing, right? So it's like using the money wisely and not using it to just make the movie as big as possible, but using the money in ways of like making the best version of whatever he wants to make. So in terms of like the box office or whatever, it's like I want something to like really just boom out of nowhere, even if people don't like it, right? It just makes a ton of money that would give him more leeway in the future. But I'm overall just like I think this movie's so good that I'm like, and the past few movies have been so good. Like I think he's on an incredible run where it's like I can't imagine how good the next three will be, and I think it's like the way that he's in this, the amount he's working. It's like this is one of the best filmographies of all time. This is like one of the most important working artists right now in film, and it's just again really bizarre the way that he's treated. But as like someone who's a fan of it, it's really fun to watch. This whole, I mean, the amount, yeah, it's a blast.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like discovering every new film that he makes is so exciting because you just always know it's going to be so interesting. I know, I can't believe he's like I handed it in and immediately started like cranking out my thoughts for like the next one, and he has his next 3 to 4 movies roughly like lined up.
Yeah.
I
He has
I
two
hope
more.
We have
he
so much to
lives
be excited about.
Two more on the
forever.
Warner
more on
Brothers this deal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so.
I mean,
Poggers.
I could definitely see this being like my favorite one as well. Like if I watch it a few more times, I'm like it's already
Of
almost
his
there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really
oh my
like it that
gosh.
you
much.
guys are really.
It's I know a lot of
I
people are like,
really,
this is
yeah.
his
I
best
like it a
movie.
lot. Oh,
I
what?
know
You're
it's
gonna
a
sit
good.
there and
No,
say
I
like,
know
"Hey, you
it's a
should
good
like
movie.
Trap
I think
I'm
it's
just
I
like
think it's gonna be like
it's
always
a good movie.
impossible to like.
Better than The Village?
Well, so
It's like right
did you
there
guys
for
hear
me.
about the news
The
about
4K.
the Village?
Yeah.
4K.
4K.
4K
Yeah,
coming
I
soon.
know, finally.
There's not even a Blu-ray.
I know.
That's huge. That's
Yeah.
huge.
And he said he was working on it?
Yeah, he said he's working on a 4K.
He needs to work on that
Awesome.
script.
He's writing scripts
No,
fast.
I know. I'm more.
What did he say? What did he say about the Trap script? It was like 5.5 months. That's
yeah. So if
that's
he
fast.
started, if he's like 3 weeks in on that new one, we got some time. 2026, we'll do this again.
Yeah, 2026.
Yeah. Okay, we can wrap up Trap there. Thank you, Sydney, for being our resident M. Night enjoyer. Our resident
Oh,
M. Night
I'm
guest.
honored that I can come on for these. Yeah, we've done two Shyamalan, so that was the first M. Night movie, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And hopefully you will be back for the next one.
I would love to.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
We're gonna talk about news as usual. Usual reminders: like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow our social media, and of course, links in the episode description. If you want to follow Sydney on everything,
Yeah,
all
if you
those
want.
links
I don't know
will
if
be
you
there.
like. If you want to.
You should, not if you want. You should.
Well, we're talking about how much YouTube
if you listen to us
suck.
talk about Trap for an hour and a half, then you definitely should be following Sydney. Anyway, news. We've got a good chunk of it. We already kind of talked about 2 of them, but we'll just do it again anyway. Starting with, I guess, not the biggest piece of news for us, but the biggest piece of news in the wider movie
in the World Wide Web.
Robert Downey Jr. returning to the MCU
www.
as Doctor Doom in Avengers Doomsday, directed by the Russo brothers.
Worldofreal.com.
Marvel is reportedly paying the Russo brothers $80 million to direct that and the following film, Avengers Secret Wars.
God.
Robert Downey Jr. will be paid, quote, significantly more. This does not include back-end compensation for the eventual box office. Yeah, Robert Downey Jr., new, different role in the MCU. Listen, we don't have any like MCU fan opinions about it, but
I have a business take about this because I think that some people are being dumb about like the numbers where people hear like Robert Downey Jr. is getting paid a lot of money to return, and I think that your gut reaction should not be Robert Downey Jr. doesn't deserve that much money. because it's like,
No actor does.
well, it's not. No, it's not. No. See, I disagree with that because if you, it's like, okay, where should that money go? Like, would you rather that like Kevin Feige got paid $80 million?
Sure.
You know, it's
I
like
get what you're
Robert Downey
saying.
Jr. is like
But
is
also, don't they
actually
like not
providing so
pay?
much.
Don't they not pay the crews on MCU movies very
Yeah, they could
well?
pay those
Well,
guys more.
well, like that's the other thing. It's like,
That's
yeah,
what I'm saying. Like,
you
you
could
could
say that
definitely.
like, oh, like crew members and like all like the down the line crew members should be getting paid more without saying that
Yeah.
like, oh, this guy who's providing a tremendous amount of value to the movie should be getting paid less.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean,
I
he's
think that
obviously like he's providing more value than the fucking people at the front of it who don't actually do shit. Like
Yeah.
so I
yeah,
get what you're saying, but
that's the thing.
I don't know.
I think that like the gut reaction to be like Robert Downey, like an actor should never get paid this much money. Instead of thinking about it like that, you should think like, I don't know. It's just like I saw some
You
people
should
saying like
you should
no
just
actor
think
should
about
ever
where
get paid this much
yeah.
money, and I'm like, that's like such like not. I don't think that's an appropriate way to engage with this
I
news
just
like
think you
that. I
should
don't
I just
know.
think people should be thinking about where the money is going because it
Yeah,
goes back to what you guys literally just said about how these movies look like shit. And it's like there
Mhm.
are people who make blockbuster movies for $300 million and like make them good because they're actually fucking using the money, you know, and like the MCU doesn't do that. And then obviously the crew side of it, which is like, I don't know, like that was the other thing where it's like you could just tell I like you hear people who work on these like MCU crews just being like, yeah, they treat us like shit and the money sucks. And then it's like, I
Yeah.
went to that fucking to the trap thing, and then M Night is on stage for 20 minutes fucking thanking like every member of the crew, dude, by name. Like he's like calling them all out and giving them standing ovations. These people who are like, you know, not to say that their job isn't important, but it's like not everybody's gonna do that. Not everybody's gonna
Yeah.
be at the premiere of their movie being like, and I want to shout out every single person in the crew and like give them a standing ovation in front of like this big crowd. Like it's like I don't know. Like when the money is going to these people, when the money's going to the people who are working on it and like making it a good movie, and you could like see that in the final product, it makes a difference. And I get that that's why the RDJ thing is a thing. But it's like he is ultimately providing much more than like the director of an
Sure.
MCU movie.
Well,
Like
that was
he's
what
like at least he's doing what he's supposed to. Like he's
that was
bringing something to the movie.
what I wanted to talk about because I think it was very interesting that he was like, "Hey, if I come back to this movie, the Russo brothers have to be the directors."
Yeah, and then
I
people
think
always
it's
talk
very,
about them. They're like,
very.
"Oh, all the best MCU movies are the Russo brothers movies." I'm
It's
like,
like,
first of all, no. Second of
it'd be,
all, like,
it'd be funny if he was like,
what's the
he was like,
distinct difference
"Yeah, if I
between
come
them other than the
back,
material?
it has to be John Watts.
Christopher Nolan has to direct these movies, right?" Or something ridiculous.
But
Oh
is it
man,
not just like, am I crazy? Is it not just the material? It's like they get like the Russo brothers do the
They're not
Avengers
writing. They're not
movies.
writing
Those are
the
the ones that
script.
everybody cares about the most. It's like they got all the fucking heroes in them. Like it's like, you know what I mean? It's like they're like, oh, the Russo brothers make all the best ones. I'm like, yeah, that's just because their name is on Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah.
It's like you could just, you
It's
know
like
what I mean?
I
Like it's
don't
like
know.
of course
It's like
people like that the
it's
most.
very. It's like they whatever the like
Like
the
what are
they get the
what are they
characters better or
doing?
whatever. They get
Yeah,
up.
I don't know.
Okay, enough Marvel.
Um, I want to follow this up with our other piece of Marvel news, which is like really not news, but for some reason is there. Marvel's Blade is just still dated for November
it's just
7th of
dead in the
2025.
water.
Yeah, they're just not removing it. It's dated for November of next year.
They secretly filmed it.
Maybe.
No,
No,
Is that imagine that was like the big like Marvel thing was like they're gonna act like this movie's not being made for like super long, and then actually they've just been making it this whole time.
there's like a clip of Mia Goth talking about it just for a second on the red carpet of Maxine because she's supposed to be in the Blade movie, I think playing
Yeah.
the villain.
Right.
Yeah.
And she just like somebody asked her about it and she was like, "Oh yeah, like I mean, you know, I haven't seen a script yet." She's like
Yeah. It's
so,
I don't know. It's really funny that they just like had the whole big what was it, San Diego Comic Con or whatever, and they just
Yeah.
like
yeah.
they're just like, yeah, we're just gonna keep it on the calendar. It's like that's like a year and a half from now. That's like not that far away.
Mm.
No, good for Mahershala Ali for presumably playing his hand and being like, "Bro, all these scripts fucking suck."
Yeah.
Like um
Yeah. I mean, I love him, but
yeah.
I don't need to see him in the Blade movie.
No,
Okay.
because presumably that's what's going on behind the scenes. It's like he's like causing problems, not like in a
Which
bad
would
way,
be
but like
cool.
yeah,
If
it's
he
like
was.
I think that's like how I'm assuming that's what's happening, where he is like, hey, I'm not gonna do this, like getting
Yeah.
scripts and then like say like causing
Yeah.
whatever.
Right. But I mean, God, that script is probably so bad.
Well, there's so
Kevin, we
many.
got to
That's the
start
thing
working on
Yeah.
our
too.
Blade script.
Right.
Send our
I mean,
Blade
but
script
those
over.
scripts are probably just so bad. It's like it's I don't know. That's why the Robert Downey Jr. stuff pisses me off even more because like it's not even that he did Oppenheimer and then went back to the MCU. It's like he did Oppenheimer and then went on like a 5-month press tour where he was like, "Yeah, that shit's torture because I'm just like not even being a real artist." And then he's just like, "But I'm gonna do it
Did
again."
you see what he said
Like,
about like indie movies?
oh, I forget the exact quote, but yeah, that was
He was
brutal.
like, I hate those. Like I can't. That's like it was like
Yeah,
I hate
yeah, he
working
was
on
pretty.
indie
Yeah,
movies. It was like
it was
those
really
guys are
bad.
like
It's so funny because his dad is such a prolific, like real like indie
Right.
filmmaker
Yeah.
who made like real like no budget films.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like he's like the fucking top of the castle. He's like, I can't fucking play down there. That shit's
yeah,
fucking gross. They're in the
it's
mud.
crazy. And then meanwhile, he's like talking about fucking Oppenheimer.
Yeah, yeah,
He's like,
yeah. Like
um,
we're in some fucking fucking
that must have been such a dramatic, fucking annoying thing for him to be like, wait, you mean I'm not the top billed actor in Oppenheimer? You mean someone's making more money than me? You mean
was
the
not
guy playing Oppenheimer is getting paid more than me? Anyway, non-Marvel news now, finally.
Oh wait, one more thing
Oh, we
about
have a
Marvel.
Marvel thing? Okay.
Yeah, it's did you guys see the rumor? Granted, there's so many different rumors that come out of this camp, so who knows if this is true or not. But the rumor is that Marvel, like Kevin Feige or whoever, is actively seeking out Tom
Oh, yeah.
Cruise to play an Iron
What?
Man variant in one of these Avengers
Well,
movies.
it's I think the keyword was like again, like they're continuing to try. Like they've been trying to do this for a while. Like they're like,
Because there was the
please,
rumor that
Tom
they tried
Cruise
to get him to play
in
an Iron Man
Multiverse of
variant for
Madness.
Multiverse of Madness. Yeah,
And it's
Interesting.
so funny that like please like Tom Cruise like it's obviously like, it makes sense like he's like the biggest fucking guy in the world, but it makes also sense that Tom Cruise has been like fuck off, like I'm not doing this. Very funny.
I
Yeah.
just like
Because that's
I
the big
wonder
thing
what
with like
the
it's like Secret Wars is gonna be like the big movie where it's like that is going to be the most cameo movie ever made. Like that whole movie is like about like just every superhero in every multiverse ever in this like it's like in like a battleground. It's gonna be like the fucking Deadpool Wolverine like a void thing. It's going to be just like a battleground with
it's gonna
like
be
900
Captain America. Yeah, it's gonna be Captain
well
America
it's like
Civil War, but just like
bro.
bigger.
there was
You know,
also
more people.
there
if
was
I'm Tom Cruise, I try to play my hand. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, I'll play Superior Iron Man or whatever Iron Man variant you want, but like Christopher McQuarrie has to do a rewrite of the scripts
yeah.
Fucking
before I do
rock.
it.
No, but it's also like no, but what I was gonna say, and maybe I'm just like being dumb here, but it's like, do they like from their perspective, like the business money perspective, it's like, do you not just have so many options? Like it's like does like what like how much does like Tom Cruise move the meter? You know what I mean? Because it's like there's so many famous people that'll be like, yeah, I'll take millions of dollars to be in a Marvel movie. And it's like can't you just do that with like what is like the insistence
They're
upon
not
Tom
trying to
Cruise as opposed
play.
to someone else?
They're not trying to pay everybody millions of dollars.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I'm just
That's
saying
that's
like
still
it's
like a
like
lot. That's so much money for even movie stars.
I
Like,
get that, but then that's my point is like you can just like the kind of like thing that they're providing, like the fan service cameo, like big thing that they do,
Mhm.
they have like so many options for that. That's what I'm saying. Like, how much does Tom Cruise push the meter for like the
It
Marvel
would
fans?
be
Where it's like,
yeah, I mean
it would be. I think it would be
I mean,
big. Tom
sure,
Cruise provides a sense of legitimacy to everything that he's in,
yeah.
especially now when he's been like ultra like picky, only working with filmmakers that he likes,
sure.
like era. Because I think that if they really want to get Tom Cruise, they probably want to get him for like not just like a one scene cameo.
Yeah, it's like a bit
but
like a
Yeah,
major
he would be
character.
like
Yeah.
a lead role in the Secret Wars movie.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, he's
Because
not. Yeah, he's not
they
like
were
Channing Tatum or
there were
whoever.
reports like rooming around that like the whole like the Kang movie, right, would have been like so they introduced like the anchor beings or whatever in the Deadpool movie.
yes,
So
yeah.
the Kang movie originally
the movie you didn't watch, by the way, you just read the entire Wikipedia page for. That was about fucking anchor being.
Dude, it's on Twitter, okay? Things are on
Okay.
Twitter. So people are saying like
Yeah, they introduced that in the Deadpool movie. The idea of the Anchor
the
Gang.
understanding of what the Kang movie was going to be like the anchor beings from the different worlds. Like, so it would be like Tobey Maguire and like Hugh Jackman and like Tom Holland and like I don't know. So they would have like those guys. So it would be like an Avengers team of the anchor beings, and they would lose to Kang, and it would be like an Infinity War thing. And then they would
So
lose.
then all their
So then
universes
every universe would like come
Yeah.
into like one thing, and it would be like a super movie. And the end game would be they're literally just doing Infinity War Endgame again.
but even bigger because it's multiverse.
Because it's multiverse. Yeah. So it would be like Endgame. It would be like Endgame, but it was just every superhero ever made in every cameo ever made, and it would just be like on like a flat battleground. And so they're probably going to just. I mean, it's going to be some level of like adjustment where they could totally do the anchor thing again just with Doctor Doom, but they're gonna do some level of
That's what they're doing.
Avengers movie. They lose to Doctor Doom probably, and then it's every guy in the world is gonna be in that stupid movie. It's gonna be it's gonna make $1 trillion.
I'm gonna be honest.
Keep moving the bar, like it's like of how annoying they can be.
But I don't know, like, what can you do after that?
Right? You can't do anything after. Like, there's literally, it's like literally last straw. Like, actually, not the joke last straw.
Yeah, I guess you reset it.
Yeah,
that's the only option other than
like it just ends the MCU timeline and we start a new one.
They start new because
new superhero like you get like your first Iron Man movie again.
So, no, they X-Men.
Yeah,
no. I'm not saying literally Iron Man.
Yeah, but they would like literally
that kind of thing, like the intro movies all over again and like build up a whole new.
Yeah,
I think that's what's gonna happen probably because like it's the only thing you could do because like you cannot get bigger
than like
you can't
every
go bigger.
superhero ever.
So like they do these two Avengers movies and then at the end of it it's probably like hard reset. You have Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, and X-Men.
No,
and that's
Fantastic Four is gonna be in. These movies.
Fantastic Four is going to be in these movies too,
right. But like they're gonna probably
they'll have more movies after.
Might,
they're good. Yeah.
That's
they
what
might go
I'm
back to their universe and like chill out.
Yeah.
So, but about the Tom Cruise thing, I honestly, part of me's like, you know what? Fuck it. Have Tom Cruise be in the movies. But like, pay him like $100 million to be in this fucking movie, dude.
Well,
no, I mean, if he's making like bank to do it, then
I'm sure he can.
You've done so much for us.
I'm sure he could do it, but it's interesting that he has like that lot at Warner Bros. And like he's like working for Warner Bros. To like make movies. It'd be interesting, like in terms of like that whole element of him going to work for Disney.
But I don't think he will. I don't think he will because it's not for him. It's really not about the money anymore because he gets paid so much.
I mean, it's like Tom Cruise isn't like he's not in need.
But I don't even think he's like Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. probably saw like how much they were willing to pay him to be Doctor Doom and was like, oh, I have to. I don't think Tom Cruise is like that.
No, I don't think he is either. Especially when he can do what I was saying, where it's like he can make continued like blockbuster successes that are also just good. Like he's like the prime example of someone just making like huge movies, getting paid a ton of money for it, and also still making them good movies.
The only way he could, I could even see him possibly considering it, is if they did let Christopher McQuarrie do something to the script. But that seems like something that like Kevin Feige wouldn't allow. So
imagine the Russo brothers directing Tom Cruise.
No, you know what, dude? If I'm the Russo brothers, I'm saying, okay, Tom Cruise, how about this? I'm like Christopher McQuarrie. We're gonna give him the Russo brothers contract, where it's like we're paying him like ridiculous amounts of money.
They got Doug Liman over there.
I mean, at this point, if they're not going to make the movies, if they're not even going to try to make the movies look good, they should be giving a substantial amount to good writers, at least like somebody who's going to make these things.
They get like weird, they get like I don't know. The people they pick are very bizarre, but it's also like good writers are like wanting to write like original things and like
sure,
it's like, you know,
obviously
they don't want to be like.
But so are like the indie directors that they prey on, like until they offer them a fuck ton of money. Can you imagine, especially from a writer's perspective? Like directors getting paid millions is like reasonable, but it's like from a writer's perspective, if someone was like, "We're going to give you $5 million to write a Marvel movie," they'd be like,
I don't think they're paying $5 million. Like the writers.
No, they're not. They're not.
I'm saying if they were paying more, yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying if you approached a good writer and you were like, "We're gonna give you more money than you
Well, it'd
ever
be
made in
funny
your
because it would be
entire
like
life
I
to
I
write a
bet I
Marvel
bet if
script."
like a writer would be like, "Oh, I'll give you $5 million, and we can just have your name be like a fucking pseudonym on the fucking," because the Marvel guys
Yeah.
aren't like looking at who wrote the movie, so they're like, "Yeah, I'll write this movie, but you have to not credit me in this fucking thing." It's
Right.
like,
Well, but the thing about it as well is Christopher McQuarrie, not sorry, Kevin Feige. My names Kevin Feige
Yeah.
is coming up with the ideas, or like a lot of the ideas,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's like he needs the writers just to execute on his ideas. It's not like he
Right.
needs
They're
people to
just
come
there to
up
write
with.
dick
So
jokes
that's
and
like
stuff. Like
it's
they're
like
not
they
Yeah.
can get the guy from Rick and Morty, and he can make something, you know.
sure. Yeah.
No, literally,
And
yeah, it's yeah.
I mean, honest, I genuinely, after watching Deadpool and Wolverine, I really would not complain if they paid a guy $1 million to come in there and write a decent joke. Like, I really, that would be nice,
Yeah,
but
go get
it's
go
okay.
get like Seth Rogen and that like.
Yeah, no,
It's
literally.
just
I
like
mean, sure. Can
it's,
like,
there's always the funny like Seth Rogen talks about like just like doing like script rewrites and just not having like not having his name on there and just like helping
yeah. I
people.
mean, like that's like half of Hollywood is
No,
people.
I
Like,
know,
there's so
but
many,
just like
so much of that
actual
going on.
funny guy writing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you just get someone funny like that to do the humor, I'd be like, okay, these are at
Because
least
I was
bearable
thinking about
now.
the that
Like,
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie that came out recently, and that's like
right.
a kids movie that's funny and fun and like well written in terms of like kids jokes.
Yeah. I mean, he knows what he's doing. That's what I'm saying. But there's so many of those people out there. I'm like, I don't get why you don't at least like I do get it because like you said, like they don't have to change anything when they're
Yeah,
already making
you
billions
don't
of dollars. It's
you don't
fine. But anyway,
like
we got a lot of
there's
Also,
non-Marvel
about Tom
news.
Cruise and Christopher McQuarrie,
Just gonna
though.
talk about Marvel the whole
No, 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 no. I just like last thing because I'm thinking about it, and it's like, okay, so they really want him to play whatever Iron Man variants to be in one of these Avengers movies. Whatever, that makes sense on paper. He's probably not going to do it, but then, bro, they wrote a fucking Green Lantern movie, and then
Yeah.
and then James Gunn was like, no. It's like, what the fuck? That's so crazy. That's so crazy.
you're just literally
Yeah,
Top Gun with fucking like
yeah,
in
like
space.
that's so stupid. Anyways, sorry about that. Last
No, it's
thought.
okay. Next piece of news I threw in here is like a little thing to break up the Marvel stuff because this is literally only news for me. So sorry. Sometimes you just got to do these things. Tom Blythe and Emily Bader to star in Netflix's adaptation of People We Meet on Vacation based on the Emily Henry novel. It's like the first casting I guess we get for one of these Emily Henry movies. And I don't hate it. Tom Blythe, not really a guy I look at and have
Is that the Hunger Games
opinions.
guy?
Yeah, he's like I don't know. I'd have to like see him in anything else. And like
Yeah,
outside of the Hunger Game,
get
it's
rid of the
hard to
blonde.
judge the Hunger Games thing, but I guess he like so this is the one Emily Henry book that I've read the whole way through. So this was kind of the casting that was going to make them like that was going to be the most interesting to me because I could at least compare it to what I've read already. Like I haven't read any of the other ones. Um I saw a clip of Emily Bader who I've never heard of in my life. I guess she's on a TV show or something. I don't know. But I'm like, yeah, she looks like she could. I don't know. It was like she seemed really sweet. I was like, I saw her in the video, and I was like, that makes sense for the character. But then like picturing Tom Blythe opposite her, I'm like,
Yeah, he
I
just
don't
have
know if I love it. I
yeah.
don't know if he gives me like rom-com
Nope.
vibes. I don't
Nope.
like.
They look
I don't
very
think
silly next to each other.
He has
yeah, I'm like, I don't know
he
if
does
he
not
really
have
has
rom-com
that.
face or
Like, she seems
charisma
awesome
or
for the role. She
energy.
seems like she could totally. I haven't seen her act, but like, she seems like she could totally like have the right personality for the character.
You know
Um,
what it is?
I don't know.
It's casting someone that was really big in a movie that was adapted from a book, right? So you have the book crowd,
Yeah,
people who read books, who watch movies based off books. They know that guy. They love that guy. He's in this new movie. It's a new book movie. It makes sense from a like analytical standpoint, but from a like movie standpoint, it's not great.
yeah, but also it's like weird to remember. So there was that Netflix original romance, Love at First Sight, that I raved about that like nobody watched.
Sure.
And they got that guy Ben Hardy in it, who I didn't really know anything. He was like in Bohemian
Ben?
Rhapsody,
Okay,
and
yeah.
like he was like like got like similar thing to Tom Blythe, where like I saw him and I was like, I don't want to watch this guy in a romance.
Mhm.
And then I watched him in that movie, and I was like, no, I just totally buy it now. And I think it's like the same thing where it's like until you see somebody do it, you don't really
Sure,
know if they
sure.
have it. Like it's like rom-coms are such a specific thing. Like acting in a rom-com is such a specific thing that until you see like how a person like what their charm actually looks like in the world of a rom-com, you don't really know. So like maybe Tom Blythe will surprise me. I don't know. The one
Sure.
thing I will say is that the thing I watched on Twitter, Emily Henry was talking to the two of them and she was like, I'm really excited. Like I totally see you guys in these characters. And I'm like, she's not a director, but if that's what she says and she's the one who fucking wrote the
Sure.
characters, then
Sure,
maybe
sure,
she's
sure.
onto something. Maybe he'll be good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's interesting because he's like a big growing name, I guess, post Hunger Games, and it'll be interesting to
Yes.
see what
That's the thing. It's like it's
like
just
what career path
yeah.
he takes. If it's like,
He's a big name, and especially in the book community.
This is the
yeah.
world I'm just so far removed from.
No,
you know?
yeah, of course. I'm just saying, but like, you didn't even watch the Hunger Games movie either,
I
right?
didn't
Yeah,
see it.
I didn't.
I'll
mean,
I,
he's
watch it.
fine.
I
He's
didn't watch
fine in
it.
it.
I'll watch the
maybe
Hunger
he's-
Shaver supercut.
Yeah, he seems like a good actor, but it's like impossible to tell. I don't know. I just think it's interesting because like I wonder where this falls into career trajectory
Yeah.
stuff, like
Yeah,
big
yeah.
Netflix rom-com. I don't know. It could just be nothing. Anyway, the other piece of news that we hinted at earlier, Xavier Dolan is returning to filmmaking with an upcoming horror film
XD.
set in 1800s France. For people who are not familiar, Xavier Dolan announced that he was going to stop making films approximately 13 months ago. He did last a year, but barely
Good on
over a
Xavier for
year,
that.
and he is back to making movies. So it really is just the normal gap somebody takes between making movies. He really didn't stop making movies at all.
And
Yeah, he
for
was
and if you're
writing
not
this
familiar,
Didn't really need a big announcement for that.
Xavier Dolan's very young
Took a
for a
vacation.
filmmaker.
Yeah, he's
Because
like in his. Is he not still in his 20s or is he early?
he's in his
30s
30s. He's in
now?
his 30s.
Okay.
He's in his but he
He's
found
35, but he's made
incredible
movies forever.
yeah,
Right,
in
yeah,
his
he started
20s,
very
in his
young.
early 20s, he found lots of
Mommy came out
success on the
10
festival
years ago.
circus.
You know, he made
Yeah.
So
Mommy
he was
when he was
25
25.
when it came out. Made
Yeah.
it when he
Yeah.
was 24. Yeah.
An incredible successful festival darling. But then he retired because he made a mini series that nobody saw. It got very few ratings. It's not even like people didn't even say it was bad. It was just like very few people saw it, and he
Yeah.
was very upset about that and decided to retire.
Yeah.
This movie is interesting though, because he's not done a horror. Like a horror movie is interesting. At least like it's like he's a dumb, you know, he's whatever. But I think from taking it from like outside, like I'm interested to see this one because it is a horror movie. I'm interested to see like what kind of horror it is because that's not something he's done. And maybe he like took a step back and was like, okay, maybe horror is something that I could
Right.
be stronger in, or like I don't know. But it's silly that he retired and did all this.
Yeah, it's a whole silly thing around him, but ultimately it's like he's still a talented guy. So I'm
Yeah,
really
I
interested to watch
he's
whatever
not-
Overrated
this
as
is.
fuck, but he's cool. Like
yeah. I mean, he's not
You've
like
watched one of his movies, have you not?
I've seen his most critically acclaimed movie, and
yeah,
thought it
and
was
it's
okay.
it's
I,
fine.
like,
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's also
fine.
it's not like he's not Sean Levy or like it's not like he's not like
exactly.
he's talented. He's also 35, so
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
it's actually it's good that he's gonna like you know that was the whole thing that was annoying. It was like, oh, you're retiring at 34 because no one's watching your movies. It's like
Yeah.
you have decades of filmmaking if you want to. Like it's like you are a big enough name where you can make movies forever basically. And I'm
Yeah.
happy that he's back in that terms.
Yeah. Next piece of news, better director on the board. Britney Spears biopic based on her best-selling memoir, The Woman in Me, is in the works with John M. Chu set to direct.
I think they shouldn't make this movie, but they're going
Yeah,
to. So
They will. It's too late. I think this was kind of inevitable when the book came out and it was just like an immediate bestseller.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Like there was just no doubt.
I think it would be more interesting to make a different
Wiki.
movie based off of like inspired by the memoir,
like
with
Last Days, like
a Last Days kind of thing.
That's
I think
that
making a movie where you literally like
But
explicitly
this
about
is
Britney Spears, that is more complicated.
Yeah.
But
This is just a hint at it. This is not going to be the weirdest piece of true story movie news that we're gonna
Oh,
mention.
yeah,
on
yeah,
the-
the one that dropped
there's a-
today.
There's a piece of news that was announced like an hour before recording, but we'll get there.
Yes, let's
Yeah,
go.
I don't know. The Britney Spears thing is whatever.
I mean, she's one of like what, like fucking
She
15
was
most famous people
she was the
that are still
face.
Yeah,
alive.
She
I
was
mean,
the
they're
face
Yeah,
of an
like
it
entire
makes
like there was
sense. They're doing
yeah.
the Michael Jackson thing. They're doing everybody. It's like
I mean,
but the thing,
there was like
but
a
that, the
5 year
Michael
period
Jackson
where
thing
Britney Spears
that's
was
gonna be
like the
so
most
bad.
famous person alive. Like
yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's why I don't know. I cannot get excited for it just because it's gonna be, especially since she's still alive. I don't know.
yeah,
It's
I don't know. It's a weird. I don't have faith in most of the ways that they're making these biopics nowadays. But did you see this isn't
Yeah.
in the news? But I thought this was just like a funny way that they reported it. It was like Film Updates tweeted and they were like. Bob Dylan experts and scholars praising Timothy Chalamet's performance in the trailer.
that
And
is
I
very
was
funny.
like, what?
The guys who went to the Bob Dylan school.
Yeah, they went to the fucking
I mean, there
experts.
are Bob Dylan experts and
Yeah,
There
scholars, but
are, yeah.
yeah,
It's
it's
just really
funny.
funny. It's just really funny to like make a headline about it and have them
Yeah.
being like, yeah,
Bob Dylan experts, and
this is an accurate Bob
it's just some
Dylan.
guy on TikTok with a Bob Dylan like account.
It's just like the #1 most followed Bob Dylan fan Twitter
Yeah,
account.
yeah. It's like, who hasn't seen the movie? It's like just the trailer.
Oh man, that's silly. Anyway, next piece of news. Prior to the second season coming out, Squid Game has been renewed for season 3, and it will be the final season set to premiere in 2025.
Did season 2 even come out?
Second season comes out at some point this year.
Oh,
Sometime soon, I'm pretty sure. I don't know.
Yeah, they're
I don't
wrapping
know if
this
you
up
know.
so David Fincher can make his Squid Game movie soon. That's the whole
Right?
thing.
They wanna get it.
The Finch.
As of 2 days ago, the release date for season 2 finally announced. It will arrive just after Christmas on December 26th. Interesting
Weird
drop
date
for
to not
Squid
put
Game.
it
Yeah, weird date for a
on
Squid
the
Game
no,
season.
but it's like if you're gonna do December 26th, why not do just Christmas? You know.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know,
Anyway,
things.
that's Squid Game. We're getting a third season, third and
Hey,
final
hey,
season.
that's Squid Game.
It's interesting that I don't, because the thing I asked about this the last time we talked about like Squid Game season
last time we
2.
just talked about Squid Game.
No, well, like because we had a piece of news about Squid Game season 2, and that
Oh,
was like a
prior
thing.
Squid Game
And
discussion.
I was asking, I was like, do people even still care about it? And I think like I guess the answer is yes if they decided to go forward with a third season before the second one even comes out.
Yeah.
Like I guess
I
the
don't
thing,
know.
I
We'll
guess the
see.
thing
I
is still
guess
there. I don't know
I
because it's like
never
you wouldn't have
watched
renewed
I'm not gonna watch
the.
it.
I didn't see.
I'll watch it.
Did you watch the first season, Doug?
No,
I didn't either. I
Oh,
didn't.
that's crazy. I think you were like 2 of the only people I know who never watched it.
bro.
I didn't watch Deadpool. I didn't watch
Sloth.
Squid Game.
I don't know.
I mean, let's not compare Squid Game to Deadpool slop. Like it's still a good show. It's not like
I didn't watch
it's not,
House of
it's
Dragon.
not slop. It's
I
like
didn't watch.
okay, we don't need to talk about the shows.
I
you
watched
haven't
one
watched
episode of
coming out
Tiger King.
for-
I didn't watch
That's
Tiger
also
King.
crazy.
I
You
didn't
guys just don't engage with this
Slot.
stuff at all.
I watched with Trap. I watched Trap.
I watched
Yeah,
Trap
well,
3 times in one
okay.
day.
Yeah, it would have taken you the same amount of time to watch all of Tiger King. So
Yeah,
something to keep in mind next time you spend the whole
I'll
day.
take
at
that
the movies,
deal.
you
I'll
could
take
be-
that deal.
You could be watching Tiger King.
got you
Anyway,
any
here's a piece of news you guys will be excited about. Kevin Costner's Horizon: An American Saga Chapter 2 will premiere at Venice Film Festival.
Deuces. And he was like, I always wanted this to be the case.
Yeah. Which
They're
means I
playing
guess
both of them
we're-
at Venice. It's
Yeah,
funny.
back to back.
Yeah.
So does that mean we're
Did
gonna
they cut out the sizzle reel?
Does that mean we're gonna get it? Like,
Yeah.
does that mean we're gonna have like a theatrical release?
Well-
Is the plan just like the hope that they're gonna hope that because part 2 is like the exciting part that everybody's gonna like, people are gonna like rave about it at Venice, and then they could put it in theaters?
They might well, if it's playing at Venice, it'll probably get a theater release. They might play it at more festivals though. Because
maybe a little
Venice
New
is
York
such a
film festival.
yeah, I might play it in New York. I might play at TIFF just because Venice is like pretty late into like not late. It's like deep into the festival.
It might be a
run, where
December
it's like a bunch of.
winter like.
It might be a
theater
Christmas
release.
thing. Yeah.
Maybe on the
Yeah.
25th even.
Interesting.
Not the 26th. You can watch it before Squid Game.
Okay, now the piece of news that Owen was hinting at before.
Hell yeah.
It's a weird one to read out loud. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are rumored to star as Hulk Hogan and Peter Thiel, respectively, in Killing Gawker. It will tell the story of the lawsuit that Hogan filed against Gawker for publishing a sex tape he wasn't aware existed. I don't know if you guys know about the true story surrounding this, if you know any details. One
No.
detail I'm curious about is who we're going to cast as this little known guy, radio host, Bubba the Love Sponge. If you're not familiar with the true story, Hulk Hogan in this leaked sex tape was having sex with the wife of Bubba the Love Sponge, radio personality. So I'm curious about that casting.
He looks like Matt Rule.
I'm assuming Matt Damon is playing Hulk Hogan and Ben
No,
Affleck will be Peter Thiel, or it's the other way around.
The rumor is Ben Affleck is Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Okay, that is so wild.
He's gonna get ripped. He's gonna get bigger than Batman.
What are they gonna do to his face?
Nothing. He's just gonna look like Ben Affleck.
It's Ben Affleck. He's an actor, brother. He's gonna invoke the spirit
he's
of
a
Hulk
real
Hogan.
actor. That's why I'm excited, because that's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Ben Affleck's Hulk Hogan is worth me watching.
It's just such a funny story to be telling. I guess it makes sense. It seems.
I mean, they just did
it seems in the same vein as Air. Yeah, it seems like it's in the same vein as Air.
That movie's fun just because it's like that movie's fun because I like seeing Matt Damon and Ben Affleck have fun on movie, and this is gonna be like that. It's gonna be like that. So yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, it's just I just
it's ridiculous, but yeah,
it's the most ridiculous true story movie we've gotten in a minute.
And since
and Gawker went out of business twice. I think they're just I think Gawker's just done now. I imagine. I don't think Gawker still does anything. I'm not sure unless they do something. Unless they do something globally, but I'm pretty sure that lawsuit, the Hulk Hogan lawsuit, put them out of business, and then they got back in business, and then they went out of business again. So we'll see. Interesting movie. Okay, last piece of news, kind of minor news. We haven't talked about Oscar stuff in a while because we're quite separated from the Oscars. But the report is that John Mulaney turned down the offer to host the 2025 Oscars. Do we have brainstorm pitches for who can be there, or was John Mulaney just our best bet and we're fucked now? Because also part of this news is that Jimmy Kimmel said he will not be coming back for 2025. So we know it's not Jimmy Kimmel, but we also know it's not John Mulaney. So it has to fall somewhere in between.
Another guy with a J name. So John.
That's an
Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler. That Jay Cutler is my.
I'm gonna be honest. I cannot believe that is the first name you thought of that starts with a J. Out of all the J named people in the world, your brain went to Jay Cutler.
Jay Cutler would be jolly, actually.
You'd fucking roll in drunk.
Here's my thing.
First J named person you think of off the top of your head. Don't say Jay Cutler.
Jason, first J name person that comes to my head is Jason Derulo. But
there you go.
Jamie Foxx, is he healthy?
Jamie Foxx.
Okay, I don't know why I thought of John Williams. But
the composer.
Although
John Williams is like 90 years old.
Yeah, but he's the most awarded guy. It would make sense.
John Williams is actually like 100 years old.
Wanting John Williams to host the Oscars is like wanting Biden to be the president. It's like he's way too old. Like, what do we?
Listen, I didn't know. I didn't say he's the person I want to host it. I said he's the first J name I thought of for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, but mine can host.
Okay, realistic person to host the Oscars, right?
Realistic. Let's
Jimmy
get serious.
Fallon, also J name.
Jimmy Fallon.
If we're gonna do a talk show
good.
host, I would prefer if it's fucking what's his name?
Conan O'Brien?
No, not Conan.
Not a J name.
Either honestly, no, Colbert's not funny enough. Who's the other what's the other guy? Why can't I think of his name right now?
I don't know.
The other late night host. The
John Oliver?
No.
Dude, what do you want from us?
There's only like
John Oliver.
Myers. Seth Myers is what I was
Okay.
thinking of.
Not a J name.
I don't know why you guys couldn't help me out there. There's only like fucking 5 late night shows.
Okay, dude. Sorry, fuck. No, actually, like realistic
not,
Oscar. Hugh Jackman.
We could get Maya Rudolph to do it as Kamala Harris from SNL.
No.
No, Hugh Jackman is realistic when it comes to mind. Tom Holland.
Not a J.
Tom
Um,
Holland as a host.
Yeah, Tom Holland as a host, I think
Jack
would be really
Antonoff.
interesting. Okay, shut the
fuck.
fuck up for 1 second.
Still
The
thinking of Jane.
adults are talking.
Tom
No, I
Holland's
think
ridiculous.
no. What do you mean, Tom? How is that ridiculous?
He's gonna win
M
an
Night
Oscar.
Shyamalan.
No.
I'm not. No,
No,
it
I
can't be
just
M
think-
Night because yes, he's
I-
competing.
I just think it would be cool if they got somebody up there who likes movies.
Yeah.
J name Cinema Joe
What's the C?
hosting the Oscar.
I mean, obviously that would be really awesome for us.
Yeah. What do you mean
But
you mean for him?
Yeah,
for us,
I mean,
as fans of Cinema Joe.
Right, because recurring
us,
looks like a
it's
movie
not.
guest.
Yeah,
Cinema
recurring
Joe.
looks like a movie
Yeah.
guest, Cinema Joe.
Yeah, it was really
But-
good to have him on today.
Yeah, it was really jolly to have him on
Talking
today.
about-
But he's not famous enough, probably.
No.
I mean, yeah, they're not gonna make a fucking an
Jimmy
influencer,
Kimmel,
like a social media person, the host of
John
the
Mulaney,
Oscars. Unless
Joe
it's like
from
fucking
TikTok.
Addison Rae or something.
No, I think honestly, like Hugh Jackman would be jolly. I think that Tom
I think
Holland
Chapel
would also
Roan would be
cool.
jolly. Get Chapel Roan up there.
Your brother.
I just fucking shoot me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Just fucking whatever. Sorry.
Yes,
Hey,
like I was
take me
saying.
out. Take me out back. I won't be back next week. I'm actually literally not going to be on the podcast.
No,
On
you shouldn't have said
podcast.
that. You shouldn't have said that. So then,
I was
when you
gonna
weren't
say
back,
I was gonna say it at the end of the episode anyway.
No, you know
Yeah.
what they should do? They should have like the Marlon Brando AI hologram host the Oscars.
Oh, here it is. AI James Dean. Covers all boxes.
AI Jimmy Stewart.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh.
Both
Okay.
of
Now we're
them.
cooking.
Them together.
Now we're cooking.
With
No, so we don't
just-
actually.
wait.
We don't have a single decent answer, right?
No, what do you mean? I think Hugh
AI
Jackman.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh, actually, no. I really don't hate Hugh Jackman. Actually, I'd be pretty happy with that.
Jackman.
I think he's like. But you know what? I was watching the Vince Vaughn Hot Ones episode, newest Hot Ones episode this morning with Breakfast.
They did breakfast.
Forgot how likable that guy is. Even though he's also, I think, not likable. I don't know. I feel like he's been canceled for something at some point, but he's very charismatic on Hot Ones. Really
Mel
enjoyed watching
Tiger
him eat those
Free.
wings.
He did not get canceled. He just dated a porn star and then broke up with her because
That's
he
not
was
what
famous.
I was thinking of at all.
Vince Vaughn.
That's not. You're talking about Sean Evans. I'm talking about Vince Vaughn, the guest. I'm not talking about the host of Hot Ones. hosting
Oh,
the
I thought you meant that Sean Evans got canceled. I was
Oh,
so confused.
Sean Evans hosting the Oscars would be fucking awesome. I would be really happy.
That's such a like Gen Z like
Yeah,
super
that's-
no, but
online
it's like-
pick.
What is he gonna
No,
do?
but it's like
Feed
he
hot
actually,
wings
like-
to all of them. He's gonna like, oh, you want an Oscar?
That would be
do
a
hot wing?
no. I'd be cool.
That's
with that.
ridiculous.
If,
You're
if
gonna
you
get
win
hot
your
sauce
Oscar
on
and
the
you
fucking
eat a hot
Oscar.
wing up on the stage, it's like you
No,
have to like.
it's not a. It can't work.
No, I'd be
No,
cool.
it
I
can't
just
work.
think-
Bro's doing
I
his
just
fucking
think he's
Seinfeld impression.
likable. I just want it to be somebody who like gets up there, and I believe that they actually care about the movies that they're reading off the screen.
That was
no,
Mulaney. That was the Mulaney thing. You're not gonna get that anymore.
Yeah,
Martin
um,
Scorsese.
he's also like 85 years old. His
But he's like,
daughter
but
could
he's like
do
a
it.
he's
spry.
like-
No,
he's
he's
like-
like
his
a
daughter could
spry,
do it
though.
and
His
make
daughter
TikToks
could like
about
his
it.
daughter could like write the lines and he could read them. Like a teleprompter.
I believe that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, until she puts like skibbity in the fucking.
I don't think she would
he
do- I
starts
don't think she
saying
would
like
do that.
fucking crazy shit.
Can we get what are the guys who do like the boom that eat the food and do the reviews?
Oh,
Yeah, I think that-
Jay, what's his name?
What the
Big
fuck?
Justice and
Big Justice.
Justice.
Yeah.
Get them to host the Oscar.
yeah, I'm sure that'll work.
Yeah, we're cooked. There's our Oscars
Fuck the
talk.
Oscars, bro.
We'll be back talking about the Oscars a few months
Fuck
from
the
now.
Oscars. Fuck the Independent Spirit Awards. Fuck the Grammys. Fuck the BAFTA.
How many award shows
uh,
can you name? Actually,
You go. Keep
we're
going.
at 4. We're at 4 right now.
Fuck the WGA.
That's
fuck
not
the
a.
D-
Oh,
yeah,
whoa,
it is.
You could say the
writer-
WGA. Okay.
You just said
Yeah.
fuck
Yeah.
the guild.
No, fuck the
I thought he was
WGA
just-
awards.
Thought he
Fuck
was just
the
being like,
Directors
fuck the
Guild Award.
writers. We don't need
No. Obviously
Amen.
not. You just said how many award show can you name, and then you're like, "That's an award
then you
show." And then
named
can
a-
say, "Oh,
you
I guess you
named
just
a
put the
guild.
word."
You're right.
Award-
Continue.
Like it's an award. What do you?
Continue. You're at 8.
Yeah. The Writers Guild of America awards, the Directors Guild of America
Yeah, yeah,
awards,
yeah,
I mean, the producer, all the guild awards, the Producer Guild of America awards,
Mhm.
Name all the guilds though.
the Actor Guilds of America awards.
Okay, you said that one already, I think.
We're looping.
And then
Don't forget all the kids awards, Kids Choice,
oh, the Kids Choice Awards,
Teen
of course.
Choice, I think as
The
well.
MTV,
The
MTV
Razzies.
Sure,
MTV
Razzies.
awards.
Yeah, do they televise those still?
Fuck the no, fuck the Razzies aren't even a thing that happens anymore.
Yeah, it's
They
fake.
just announce the winners.
It's some Twitter account. Some Gen Z guy on Twitter.
Yeah, fuck the what's another award show? I mean, I named
Don't
all like
forget
the
about
major
international
ones.
stuff as well. There's British
I did.
ones.
I said the BAFTAs.
Oh, you did, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just those are the two countries, America and
The
Grammy.
Well, I know I
and
can't think of the other ones though.
the
Oh, you're
Grammys.
right. Did you?
I don't
I
know.
feel like you said Spirit Awards. Did you say that?
Yeah, I said the Independent Spirit Awards, which
Yeah.
genuinely, I mean, I don't want to get us canceled, but yeah,
Yeah.
fuck those guys.
Okay, yeah. Well, I didn't actually count, but we'll say like you named 15 of them. That's pretty.
I
good.
named all like the big ones that people talk about.
Name every M. Night Shyamalan movie in release order. Go.
Owen, go.
What? Okay. Okay, here we go. So
Okay.
Praying with Anger.
There we go.
Wide Awake.
Oh,
Yep.
wait, let's go back and forth.
Don't-
Wide Awake.
Oh yeah,
Now
yeah.
you.
Okay. No, yeah. You two go back and forth, and that's all.
Yeah,
on
so
the
you did Praying
podcast.
with Anger,
Go,
I did
you
Wide
go.
Awake. Now you go.
I'm looking at the list in front of me. I got to pull
The
this.
Sixth Sense. There's
Correct.
a the in there. There's a the in there.
If anybody fucks up, you're not allowed to show up next week either, which means it's a one-person podcast. So keep that in mind. After the Sixth Sense, Doug, go.
I'm going to fuck up. Unbreakable.
Correct, Owen.
Jesus, this is so high pressure.
Signs.
Correct, Doug.
The Village.
Correct, Owen.
Lady in the
Shit.
Water.
Correct, Doug.
I don't know the order of these two movies.
I'm doing podcast by myself.
Is it After Earth next?
Incorrect. And it's an Owen podcast. next
The
week.
Happening. The
Owen.
Happening.
Correct, Doug.
Then is it After Earth?
Jesus Christ, Doug. It's Airbender, right?
Correct, Doug.
Oh, but
Then
the
After
Airbender
Earth.
came out afterwards.
Then
Now it's
After.
After Earth. Yeah.
Correct, Owen.
The Visit.
Yes, Doug.
Yeah, The Visit. And then is there one I'm forgetting?
We talked about it today.
No, okay, yeah, it's old.
No,
What?
You skipped.
Oh,
like
it's
8
split. It's
years.
split. It's split. It's split. It's split. I was
Those
forgetting one.
skipped,
Yeah, it's
like
split.
a
You
generation.
forgot
Yeah.
too, actually. Owen.
Glass.
Yes. Now,
Yeah.
Doug.
Now it's old.
Yes. Owen.
Knock at the cabin.
And
Yeah,
then
and
we
then-
make it to Trap, and that's the episode. Thank
Damn.
you, everybody, for listening. We
fake
can
as
wrap
fuck.
up there. Next
Wow.
week, we've got episode 79. Like I said, I will not be there, but I believe Doug and Owen are talking about the director's cut of Rebel Moon, the Zack Snyder director's cut.
We're
or
doing a
whatever
big
they want.
We're
special
doing a
episode.
big
We're-
episode with a lot of things in it.
Yeah, we're gonna
Technically,
be
they
talking
can do
about
whatever,
a lot of
whatever they
We're talking about a
want.
lot of
Yeah.
stuff. There's gonna be guests. It's
Plenty
gonna be
to
a
look
whole thing.
forward to.
It's
And
gonna
we'll
be
see
a
you later.
party.
Bye.